Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast on this Monday night, August 3rd, 2026. August 3rd. How on earth are we already at August 3rd? Can you come tell me that tonight, Dolly? How is it we're already at August 3rd? Miss Melissa's got a birthday coming up. Ooh, you're stretching. She just did the big stretch where she stretches in front of you. If a dog stretches facing you like that, it is a sign of affection, they say. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to take it as it is. Do you love Dad? Did you have a good weekend? Somebody loves hanging out with Cayman. My granddaughter's in town. We had a big time this weekend, and she loves hanging out with Cayman. She loves following her around and watch what she does and playing with her toys along with her, and sometimes eating her toys. Yeah, you got in trouble for that this weekend, but not from me. I don't hardly ever scold you. I'm pretty soft touch when it comes to Dolly, aren't I, girl? Yeah. Anyway, I hope you had a great weekend. We did. Let's see. We're going to have on Annie Cyrus tonight, and we can get Annie to actually speak her mind. That's not hard. Annie's going to be with us tonight. We're going to talk to Trevor Loudon here in a moment. Let's talk about the Wisconsin Democrat Socialist governor candidate. She's bipolar, apparently, or has been in the past. Suffered mental breakdown and more. Like, what? Where did that come from? I went to check it out, verify it. Don't want to say something's not true. Found an article from back some time ago, September 21st, actually, 2025. Well, we'll get into that tonight with Trevor Loudon. Let's talk about some of the other folks that are running part of the Democrat Socialists of America, either part of them or backed by them. And what is Trevor Loudon? I'm going to ask Annie the same question. What do they see coming in the next 5 years to America? If we stay on this trajectory, what do they see coming? Let's talk about that. In the Netherlands, police officers are now being forced to visit mosques and take classes on Islam and the Quran to learn how to handle Islamophobia. Oh, that's coming to America. I'm pretty sure that's coming here to America. We're going to also talk with Patrick Wood. He has a new series out on Deja Vu. Technocrats called for dictatorship and democracy back in 1932. He's talking about a book that he found from 1932, Roosevelt and Technocracy. And yet we have Mr. Yarvin. What's his name? Carl Yarvin? Curtis Yarvin. Curtis Yarvin. He's calling for basically, let's turn the president into a monarchy. So much has not changed. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Here we have Politico. I have an article. GOP staffers say the party has a groiper problem. Yeah, they have infiltrated. They, the groypers. And this is being funded, I believe, largely by Iran and China and Russia to destroy the Republican Party as Russia and China take over America with a Democrat Party that's going full on Mao Zedong. Oh, folks, you're not going to get this kind of analysis from most people in most places. Now, what's really also sad, we're going to play a little clip tonight from Israel 365, because sadly, we have American Jews turning on Israel. American Jews turning on Israel. You know, I have to laugh if it wasn't so serious. These people that actually think that the Jews are trying to take over the world. The Greater Israel Project. Really? You get 4 Jews in a room and you got 10 opinions. You got Orthodox Jews, which, by the way, only makes up about 11% of American Jews. Only about 11% of American Jews are Orthodox. The rest are, most of them, liberals, atheists. They could care less. And in fact, many of them are turning against Israel. Oh, yeah. Even in Israel, they're fighting with each other. The Orthodox, the Jews that are not wanting their kids to be drafted, not to go into the IDF, are fighting with the other Jews who don't want to pay taxes to pay for them to sit at home and study and be Orthodox. They can't even get along with each other and organize. You really think they got enough ability to take over the world? Yet I get people that I know, some I call friends and have called friends. I'm trying to unbrainwash them because they've bought the idea that somehow the Jews are taking over the world. The Jews are not even on the same page when it comes to Judaism or Israel. American Jews are turning on Israel in a massive number. Now, where are you going to get reporting like all we've described tonight? We have quite the show available for you. Okay. And let's see, what else are we going to cover? I'm missing anything else? Trump didn't do his strikes. Oh, I want to talk about the Clarity Act. Trump didn't do his strikes. Well, I'm going to ask Annie why. Is that because Trump is listening to Qatar and Saudi Arabia and the UAE Or is it because he is scared because the Iranians have infiltrated our critical infrastructure, like hacking on the water systems of 7 states? And he's actually scared to hit them. Because you want to bring down the midterms, have Americans in multiple states sit with no water for days or weeks, or have rolling blackouts. So I don't know. I want to ask Annie is Trump actually scared? So we'll get into some of that. Let me go and take you to worldviewstore.com. Worldviewstore.com. Logan, are you on mic? Logan, book 1, the 3-part Revelation series. Can you show that new graphic you made for the email alert? Book 1 is now gone to the printer and has been confirmed at the printer, book 1 today, right?
Yep.
Yes. Book 2, you just finished and sent over to me and Jill to put my eyes on for the last time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do that when I get off air tonight. Book 3, I'm still reading, but while they're printing 1 and 2, I'm reading 3 for the final time. Look at that beautiful, beautiful graphic Logan made. And I'm so excited about it because it is, folks, for lay people. Thomas, can you run downstairs to my office? There's a stack of the manuscripts on my desk. And then there's also, don't confuse them because I have to keep them separate. There's one on the couch in front of my desk that I'm reading currently, volume 3, and then the rest are on my desk. Can you bring that whole stack up here real quick? All right, get Max to do it. Make sure he follows the instructions because I don't want him to mess up. I got to keep volume 3 separate from the rest. So the one on the couch and then the other stacked on my desk. I want to show the audience. There's been several versions of the commentary 1, 2, and 3 printed because I read it, mark it up, give it back to Logan and Jill, and they make changes. And then they give it to me again, and I read it all through again, which is why I haven't been teaching on Sunday nights because I'm busy trying to make sure this is all perfect. And I read it again, mark it up again, and send it back to him again. So there's several versions. That's why we don't want to mix up what version are we talking about here, because I've made a lot of changes and added stuff. There's going to be some stuff going in volume 3, because Revelation 18, chapter 18 of Revelation, is where I talk about Babylon some more, big time. And I want the latest on what's happening in Babylon. And there's a lot happening. NATO is moving into Babylon. Talked about it in the Worldview Report today. Talked about it on television at 1 o'clock Central today. That's big news. NATO, that is a lot of European countries represented there, and they're opening an office in Iraq. And that's interesting because the revived Roman Empire is what? Eurocentric. So that means you're going to have Euro nations, European nations involved, right? And that's what happens in that vision of Daniel. In Daniel 7, where he sees it in the form of animals, or Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel 2, where he sees it as a statue. In the statue, it's a continuation of those nations. That's why it's seven mountains, 7 hills, 5 kingdoms, 5 have fallen, 1 is yet to come. Their culture, their geography, some of their philosophies and ideas are still relevant, and they are extended through a revived Roman Empire. Their influence. And I want to put some of this in Revelation volume 3, so I'm still working on that. But I'm working and reading and editing, and volume 1 is now done. It's off to the printer. Volume 2, they've just sent me, Logan did, the final version of volume 2 after spending the weekend reading on it and making changes. So now I got to read that tonight and tomorrow. Then I got to get cracking on volume 3. We are on track. We are on track to ship these for the fall. So I love it that I now have been told by Logan. Logan, where did you read about that, by the way? The 18-year-old gal that wants the 3-volume set from her mom as a gift. Huh?
Facebook.
What? Tell me about it. What'd you hear?
I don't know exactly. That's what it was. It was someone saying that their 18-year-old daughter wanted to ask for your book.
I love it.
I don't remember what it was exactly, though.
Well, I wrote it, folks, so a high school student can understand this topic. Absolutely. So go ahead and get in your pre-order if you want it, because they're moving quickly. I'm shocked at how many we've sold already. And we're going to print to fill what comes in. I cannot promise you what's going to happen this fall as we move toward Christmas sales. So if you want to be guaranteed to get a copy for this fall for Christmas presents, you should order it now. Because people that order it now will be guaranteed to get it first, because it's all going to be shipped in order. If we run out, it's going to take 6 weeks to get the next set in. So go ahead and order now if you want it by this fall. And if you want to give it to yourself for Christmas or give it to a friend or family member or spouse for Christmas, your pastor. Again, this is a commentary series written, though, for lay people, Not that pastors couldn't benefit from it, but it's written for lay people, okay? So go ahead and get your order in. Worldviewstore.com. Are they bringing me those those manuscripts?
I don't know. It's sure taking them a while.
Well, it is taking. I could have walked to my office and gotten it by that time.
I know.
Worldviewstore.com. You know the old saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Worldviewstore.com to get that. Okay, I'm going to make another announcement while we wait on them to bring me those manuscripts that I should have brought to the studio myself from my studio office. All right, let's go to my next announcement real quick. Before we go to, who's up first? Trevor? All right. We are announcing here, by the 1st of September, we are going to have a bunch of new channels. And if you're a Vault member, you'll be able to watch these. Some of these are already open to the public, like the Hymn channel, the Health and Home channel. There's a few of them. The Financial channel will be launching soon. I know those 3 channels are going to stay open to the public. The Hymn channel, the Home and Health channel, and the Financial channel. Those 3 will stay open to the public. But we're announcing, and I think I did the other day, the Israel channel. Aaron's going to come on with us more full time and do more videos. We're going to be very aggressive in sending him around Israel to do more filming. So we have lots of tours of historical biblical sites in Israel. We're also looking at launching a daily show with him. So we're starting an Israel channel. Now you're going to be able to watch Aaron's daily show, but everything will be rolled into the Vault and into the Israel channel. And that will be only for Vault members. We're going to do a national security channel. We're going to do a Worldview Bible channel, Bible teaching, prophecy channel, history channel, Worldview Report News. That's just our news running, kind of like my CNN used to do, what was it called? CNN Headline News or whatever. That'll be like the last 5 or 6 Worldview reports just rolling continually so you can catch up through the week. Fast Facts on False Teaching channel, Brannon Howse commentary. That's all my commentaries from the years. And they got years of me doing commentaries that are evergreen. So many channels we're building, folks. And most of these channels will only be for Vault members, okay? So again, there are 22 channels, not counting our main 24/7 stream. Are they really going to bring me those manuscripts, or should I just go down there and run a commercial and get them? Worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. If you want to be a member. Looky. All right. Now, which one was on the couch? That would be actually right. Thank you. Great job. All right. So this is the one I'm reading, right now, this is volume 3 that I'm just now starting. Okay. And now I want you to look. Here are the other ones that I've had printed and see, these have been printed more than once. Here's volume 1. So I'm already done with that one now. And here's a copy of volume 2. Okay, I'm done with that one now. But here's another copy of volume 1, because again, I get them and I make changes and I have to have the new version. Here's another copy of volume 3, because again, I got it, had to make changes. So there you go. And you have one in your truck. I thought there was one missing.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. That would make sense. I don't have 2 volume 2s. So the point I'm making is, this is what happens when I'm off the air. Take a look at that wide shot, folks. This is what I do. I spend all this time reading and then marking them up because I see things I want changed. Okay. And then Logan, Vice President of Operations, and he's the guy that learned to do the software to lay out all the pages. I flag them. I mark them up. I tell him, you got to make this change, make that change. And so there you go. More notes that I want on there, what things I want done. I don't know if you can see that. The white paper on television doesn't really show well. So anyway, Oh, I'll be glad when these are done. That's a lot of reading. And we're working hard. Everybody's working. Everybody's working. And there you go. And then after we get volume 3 finished up here, and that one's off to the printer, then we're going to go to work on finalizing biblically, what is it called? What's the title we gave it? Why I'm a Christian Zionist. And then the other one, Biblically Refuting the Heresy of Calvinism. That will be these three, the volume, 3-volume set on Revelation, the Biblically Refuting the Heresy of Calvinism, and the one on Why I'm a Christian Zionist. Those are all coming out this fall. There's no pre-orders on the other ones yet, but there will be soon. And then we have others coming as well, other books coming as well. So we'll let you know about that. But there you go. Get your order in. And again, if you want to be a premium member, if you want, my computer came unplugged. If you want to be a premium member and get access to these channels that we'll be launching and we'll be announcing as we launch them, you'll have to be a Vault member. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. All right. And there you go. There you go. Now, what else do we got real quick? Don't forget, we are a listener-supported network. And one of the greatest ways you can support us is not only through our foundation, obviously through our foundation, but one of the other ways you can support us is through our store sponsors page, which is worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors. And Logan, I don't know what I did, but I did something that blew the page up, made it all really big. How's that happen? Any idea, Logan?
If you put 2 fingers on your mouse pad and move them together.
I don't know. See?
No?
I end up blowing it up real big somehow. I don't know. You can fix it, but that's like I'm having trouble seeing font, I'm nearly blind font. But anyway, Worldview Tube, we'll get it fixed. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Now I do the protein. I'm taking the protein. I've lost a few more pounds. And as the Grinch says, and this time I'll keep it off. Don't get me started on lines from the Grinch with Jim Carrey. I have that whole movie memorized. Do I not, Logan? Yep, he knows it. He watched it with me last Christmas. He couldn't believe all the lines I had memorized that I said before Jim did. Melissa Protein, I love it. Builds muscle mass, burns fat, 0 calories. I highly recommend these. Melissa's been on for 4 months. I've been on now for a few weeks, and I'm telling you, I'm losing weight, folks. I take them in the morning, and I have a handful of peanuts and some raisins during the day. But other than that, I'm not eating. And then I have a normal dinner, and my stomach is shrinking because now it doesn't take much. I had 2 pieces of vegetable pie the other night, and I was stuffed. My stomach is shrinking. And then water, worldviewwater.net. By the way, many of you have ordered this, and it's probably time to order a new filter because they only last about a year. Well, we installed very quickly the other day a new filter under the kitchen sink. Popped out the old one, put in the new one. Very easily done. Worldviewwater.net. All right. Melissa Howse Clean. Products that are healthy for you. You don't have all the harsh chemicals. Swishforlife.com. That's Numi. That's got glutathione in it to detox your cells. I'm telling you, folks, there are so many things we come in contact with that are toxins. And don't forget all the people that are getting their flu shot and this shot and that shot, and they got every booster and they're still shedding on you. And the spike proteins are still being produced and they're around you and they're shedding on you. So you definitely want to be detoxing with all this going on in the world. And glutathione helps you do that. Swish it for 3 minutes, swallow or spit it out. Some studies show it removes mercury and lead from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. All right. Gatatana, I take that every night. I have a scoop in water every night for dinner. Dolly gets half a scoop. There you go. And Worldview Talk, that's your solar generators, your satellite phones, your bulletproof backpacks. Send the kids to school this year. I don't care what age. Send them to school with bulletproof backpacks. All right? You can get them all right there. Worldview Healthcare to get your antibiotics and everything on hand. Be your own urgent care. Okay? Christian Worldview Leadership. You need to become a biblical worldview leader. Bible study, Sunday school, start a home church. This is a 2-year course. At the end of it, we send you in the mail a beautiful diploma. And you know what else? We let you download years worth of PowerPoints, my PowerPoints, so you can turn around and teach for a long, long time. So again, please become a biblical worldview instructor through our brand new launched Worldview Leadership Training Institute. Bella Grace, I take it every day. Over 100 clinical trials. There's so much about Bella Grace I can say, but time will not allow. They have great products from the elixir to the skincare to the Bella melts and so much more. All of it is available at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Worldview Gold. Get gold in your IRA. I was watching another documentary this weekend about 401ks and how many people got wiped out in 2008 with their 401k. Folks, it's coming again, I'm afraid. I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. My opinion is some of you you're up there in years and you don't have time for a 40, 50% correction in your portfolio. You need to hedge against a crash or a massive correction and certainly inflation. And again, my opinion is you need to get the free packet available at worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com. Someone said today, it's not working. No, it is working. We tested it and it is working. So you guys either need to reboot your computer or use a different browser. Go to like Google Chrome, okay? But it is working. You can fill out the information. We're getting requests on a daily basis for the free packet of information. All right, let's get going. Join me now is Trevor Loudon. We have a Democrat Socialist of America primary calendar coming up very quickly. Let's talk about some of these, and I mean weirdos. Here's one from Daniel Greenfield. Talked about it tonight in my Worldview Report. Wisconsin Democrat Socialist governor candidate is bipolar, suffered mental breakdown. Now, I'm not going to make fun of people that suffer from mental issues, emotional or mental issues. People have problems sometimes, and we should have compassion. But I'm not sure that someone, in my opinion, who has these issues should be the governor of a state. Do you? Now, like everything else we do here, we try to go and check things out for ourselves. So we went over there to the website, Meal Magazine, okay? And in here, Francesca Hong talks about her struggles. Now, this was an article back in 2023, okay? And she goes into great detail. Now, I trust Daniel Greenfield, but I wanted to go and find this out for myself. Some of the language in here is a little tough, but I wanted to find out for myself what she actually said. And sure enough, she talks pretty openly about her mental challenges, emotional challenges, etc. So again, she's not the only one. There are a couple people that are, more than a couple, that are running that seem to have real, what should we say, worldview problems, philosophical problems, their philosophies, their ideas, which all stems from their world view. Joining me now is Trevor Loudon. Trevor, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Great to be here. Brannon always is.
Well, here she says, at 18, I had a mental breakdown. I didn't actually walk at my high school graduation because I had been hospitalized for a week at a child psychiatric hospital. I just felt like nothing had meaning anymore. It was a numbness that took over and a pain that I couldn't describe. I couldn't feel anymore. And that scared the blank out of me. I found myself self-harming to feel something. And the person interviewing, Marsh, says, "Were you cutting yourself?" She reportedly says, according to the interview website, "It was cutting. I was diagnosed with bipolar disease. I was taking SSRIs and I'd overdosed on lithium. I didn't know why I couldn't connect with people deeper. And that pushes you into isolationism. But in restaurants, I didn't feel that. You see, the best and worst of people here, it's like everyone wants to feel like they belong." And she goes on from there. She said she never talked about mental health, never talked about processing emotion and feelings. And anyway, there you go from there. So this lady, Hong, she's running for governor. and she's ahead in the polls for the primary. I mean, she does not hide what she believes. Tell our audience what she stands for. And this is a swing state, Wisconsin.
Well, she's a member of Democratic Socialist America, so she believes in defunding the police, means destroying the justice system, complete legalization of transgenderism and, kids being transitioned, etc. She belongs to a political party that supports communist China and communist Cuba and many of the communist parties of Latin America, and works closely with the Communist Party USA and other groups, and wants to abolish the presidency, the Electoral College, the Supreme Court, and other things. She's a communist, a hardcore communist with mental issues. But as you say, she's running for governor and is ahead in the polls.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't want to make fun of people that have a mental, emotional challenges, but it should disqualify you probably from being the governor of a state, should it not?
Well, look, there are people around here who've had mental issues when they're young and made full recoveries, but it reminds me of a story from the 50s, whereas a communist complained that he was being treated as though he was mentally ill for being communist. He said, communism is a political economic system, not a social pathology. Well, I'm sorry, it is a social pathology. You believe in complete lack of responsibility for the individual. You believe the state should provide for your needs. You believe that people who disagree with you do not deserve the time of day, and that can be killed or jailed if they stand in your way of power. That's a pathology. That's a criminal pathology. And she is part of that movement. And she seems a very nice young lady, but imagine if she had complete power. A lot of Nazis probably seemed quite nice people before they got power. A lot of communists, people don't wear, these tyrants don't wear horns. They don't breathe fire, but they have something wrong with them psychologically, which leads them to commit horrific crimes and not take full responsibility for it. So, yeah, she's a dangerous woman.
There's a meme running around out there. Democrat Francisca Hong, candidate for governor of Wisconsin, diagnosed bipolar, Asian chick with a history of self-harm who's been institutionalized in a psychiatric ward and overdosed on lithium and wants to get rid of Thanksgiving. That's one description of her. I mean, why would you want to get rid of Thanksgiving? I think it's celebrating taking the land from all the Indians, from the indigenous people.
Well, it's a Christian thing too, isn't it?
That's
it's
right. Yeah.
The bringing of Christianity to America. It's one of the first Christian celebrations in America, and was the start of the genocide, the start of the Christianization of America, which is a bad thing according to Marxists. So everything that Americans believe and that made America great, she would be opposed to.
Mm-hmm. And
but then she's a personable girl, like AOC. She's not got a nice smile. She's a personable person, but her beliefs are absolutely horrific and dangerous.
Mm-hmm. This next one, Democrat James Tallarico, the nominee for U.S. Senate in Texas, a guy who plays with a Dr. Fauci doll, proclaims his love for trans kids, and met his girlfriend at a gay bar. All true, Trevor? Is that all true?
I don't know. I know some of it's true, but he's, a self-professed Christian. But I think his version of Christianity would be diametrically opposed to the views of most of your viewers, Brannon, to put it mildly.
Yeah. And do you think he can win in Texas? I mean, can you imagine if he wins in Texas?
I doubt it. Well, look, this year is a bit of an unusual year because, because of the world situation and a lot of the antipathy towards Trump. Anything is possible. Like you wouldn't have thought Mandami had a prayer, a couple of years ago either. I don't think so. I don't think he will win. I think the Republicans will prevail. But Texas is a big target for the left, obviously, because if you can flip Texas, you can put Texas in the blue column. There will never be another Republican president, ever. That's it. So the left is putting everything they can into Texas. And Tallarico is a hardcore leftist. But again, he's, a nice-looking young man, seems very sincere. But his beliefs are completely wacko.
And then we go to the guy that's running in Steve Jackson. Is that his name? Let's see. I go back to the tweet.
Troy Jackson.
Troy Jackson. Thank you. Troy Jackson. Thank you. Look at this. Let's watch this little ditty here.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Graham. Did a great job as far as getting people going. Very articulate. Better than I am at that. But what I've been doing, all through this is trying to make sure that people understand that it's about the movement. It's about the issues. I mean, this is way bigger than any one person. Bigger than Graham, certainly bigger than me. We have a chance right now because people are coming together like I've never seen before. And when I worked for Bernie in 2016, that was the most incredible campaign that I've ever been around. This is way bigger. I mean, people are coming out like crazy because.
Wow, he worked for Bernie Sanders. What more do you know? Now, I don't know. Can someone fact check? Did he really marry his second cousin?
I don't know about that, but he's endorsed by Democratic Socialist America and is probably a member of that organization. He's certainly a sympathizer with DSA, and they are supporting them in this election. Which they also supported Plattner, by the way, as campaign manager. Plattner's campaign manager was a big-time DSA guy, Daniel Morath.
So he had children with this lady. He's not married to her?
I don't know. I don't know much about his personal background. I just know he is a political socialist. He's very much on the left.
Well, here is what the New York Post says. Maine Democrat Senator candidate Troy Jackson fathered 2 kids with his second cousin. Well, the pond is not full of a lot of fish, maybe in Maine. I don't know.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not going to comment on that.
I left Trevor speechless on the cousin one, didn't I? I'm just telling you what the New York Post is saying.
But I hadn't heard that one. I wasn't expecting that.
I knew you weren't. There's just a really interesting group they're running this year. Well, let's go to the next one. What was the next one we had? If you guys can stomach this, some more of the Democrat Socialists of America. Okay, here we go. Democrat Scott Wiener, nominee for California 11th District. All right, I don't know if I can even show that. Let's pull that one down. I don't think I can even show all that. Let me put it in nicer terms. A guy who frequents events where participants. I can't even go in there with that one. Let's see. Logan, can you fact check this one?
San Francisco, Brown.
What, huh?
It is San Francisco. The standards are slightly different out there.
Yeah, they are slightly different. Can you do some fact checking on this, Logan? Bookmark the tweet. All right, I'll bookmark the tweet. We'll move on to the next one, bookmarked, while you fact check some of that. Is he really for those things? Let's move to the next one. Maybe don't show it because of what it says about Scott Wiener next to her. The next one is running for nominee for the 13th district in New York. She's a Haitian chick who thinks the United States is a blanking disgrace, wants to abolish borders, law enforcement, and prisons. And then she's the one that wiped her hands on the American flag. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, very, very pro-Hamas, an actual DSA member, a Marxist, a very, very, very virulent Marxist, as bad as any of the extremists you see, rioting after Hamas massacred the Israelis. So, yeah, she's on their side. She shouldn't be allowed in any public office, let alone U.S. Congress.
All of these people just hate America.
She's a convert to Islam too, I believe.
Oh, she's a convert to Islam as well?
I believe so.
Wow,
from the Dominican Republic originally, I believe, of Hispanic origin, but a convert to Islam.
Let's see, who's the next weirdo that they got running? Let's see here. Next one. Okay, this was the dude from Michigan. Democrat Abdul El Sayed, candidate for the U.S. Senate in Michigan. He's the one that ran for governor up there. Everybody was saying he was going to be Obama 2.0. That didn't work. A Muslim guy who believes the U.S. deserved 9/11, is funded by the Muslim Brotherhood, and whose wife and father-in-law have terrorist connections. True?
Yep. His father-in-law is involved with the Muslim Brotherhood, and he is a member of Democratic Socialists of America. Another thing, he could be a U.S. senator as a member of Democratic Socialists of America, a Marxist, a communist.
All right. So what does it tell you that all these people are running and on the ballot, and some of them are going to win, right? Some of them are going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, DSA will have about 10 or 11 members in the Congress after this election, most likely. And there's several more that haven't even been mentioned yet, and several more supporters that, you know, like there's one guy out in Colorado who resigned his DSA membership this year so he could say he's not a DSA member, but he's running against Gabe Evans and Manny Rutonlik, I think is Rutonlik, something like that. But it tells me, look, if you look at DSA, you look at the profile of their members, many of their co-chairs are transgender. They have a big transgender leadership thing going on. You know, you look at chapters all over the country, and you'll find one of their co-leaders will be a transgender person. They have a history of attracting the mentally ill and the disaffected, and people that really don't have much of a future with anything else, which is what attracted the communists, which is what attracted Nazis. You know, these totalitarian movements attract mentally unstable people. It's just how it is. And people that go after power. I remember talking to Tammy Bruce, who used to be in the National Organization of Women, who's now in the Trump administration, years ago when she toured New Zealand. And I said, Tammy, why were your friends socialist? What drew them to it? She said, every single one of them was a damaged individual. They were homosexual. They'd had a drug problem. Their parents went through a horrific divorce. They were abused or bullied as kids. They were not normal people. They were bitter and twisted people. Many of them come from this kind of background. And from a Christian point of view, if you have a background like that, you try and overcome it. You forgive. You try and accept yourself. You move on. You try and, you know, improve yourself. You try and get on top of your weaknesses. But to a socialist, you want to make the world like you. You want to force acceptance. You don't want to change your aberrant behavior or your personality defects. You want to transpose them, put them on the whole world. That's what makes socialists so darn dangerous.
So instead of acknowledging sin, either the sinful actions of others onto them, which in some cases, some people indeed, young kids, have someone that takes advantage of them and commits acts of, you know, abhorrent behavior that are sinful on them, and they can either deal with it or they can go on and embrace it and practice it and then force it onto others.
Exactly. And this is the socialist mentality. You know, the real difference between socialism and normal people is we believe in personal responsibility. Yes, you can have horrific things done to you, but it's how you respond to that. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people out there who had very abusive childhoods and have gone on to do great things and be very good people. Mm-hmm. You know, and
absolutely.
You know, there's many like that. But
many people that came out of the Holocaust. Who came out of the Holocaust, who went on to live, who are treated horribly and barely survived, and went on to live extremely productive lives that blessed many, many people. And we could go on and on. People who were sexually abused as children of no fault of their own, but they dealt with it and they used it to help others and went on to be very successful people in many regards.
That is the way out of it, isn't it? That's the way through. It's the Cain versus Abel response, you know. The able response is to be responsible, to be loyal, to be productive. The Cain response is to be resentful and bitter and lash out and irresponsible. And so socialism captures that spirit. You know, socialism is a Cain spirit philosophy. It's all about jealousy, resentment, bitterness, anger, rebellion. It's a rebellion. Yes. You know, why did Satan leave heaven? Because he wanted to rule his own kingdom. He couldn't stand being subordinate to God. You know,
and isn't that what Karl Marx, the book by Richard Wurmbrand, Marx and Satan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's that spirit of rebellion, that spirit of resentment that motivated Satan, that motivated Cain, is the spirit of socialism.
Mm-hmm. Look at this.
It's not about improving people's lives. It's about dragging people down. It's imposing their weaknesses and sin and foibles onto other people, making us accept. We're not supposed to help transgendered kids and try and give them compassion and get them through it. No, we have to accept their mental illness and treat them as completely normal and alter our behavior to suit. That's the socialist spirit. Mm-hmm. No personal responsibility at all.
The California Globe. Okay, this article is from back in 2019. California Democrats author bill to protect sex offenders who lure minors. No sex offender registry if perpetrator within 10 years of age of the minor. State Senator Scott Wiener, Democrat from San Francisco, and Assemblywoman Susan Eggman introduced recent legislation to end blatant discrimination against LGBT young people regarding California's sex offender registry. However, under their bill, SB 145, the offenders would not have to automatically register as sex offenders if the offenders are within 10 years of age of the minor. So
you're 19 and they're 9, and that's going to give you a free pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, see, this is it. This is a war on personal responsibility. The whole purpose of a conviction is to make a stated record for the community that this person is capable of bad behavior. And you do not want people capable of molesting children in daycare jobs or teaching jobs or coaching sport or anything like this. So this weakens society's ability to protect their children from evildoers. This is evil. You know, the whole reason we have convictions, we have a justice system, is to make people accountable for what they do. And if people are held accountable, that is at least a deterrent to others to keep away from that sort of behavior, and makes them think twice about what they did. You know, the only way out of, if you've got a personality defect like that, the only way out of it is confronting your evil and repenting of it. If you are never having to face that it is actually evil, that it's society that doesn't understand you, and that you're really okay, it's just society that's screwed up, why shouldn't you just love children? You know, 8-year-old kids. You know, if you're given, if society doesn't have a means of sanctioning you and warning people about you, that weakens every parent's ability to look after their children. I call that straight out evil, but that's socialism. That is the spirit of socialism.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. I got to see if I can even show this. I got to read it real quick. Let's see. All right. Look at this, Scott Wiener. This is from the American Thinker back in 2023. Kink festival with the most obscene acts imaginable, lauded and attended by California's most notorious lawmaker. On Sunday, the infamous Folsom Street Fair took place in San Francisco with the Kink Festival celebrating its 40th year. California State Senator Scott Wiener, who's been photographed at the event in previous years, applauded the day. I don't want to do all that. Come on, guys. Applauded the day as one of the best days of the year in San Francisco. Okay, look at these people. Reader and viewer discretion is advised, but the sort of degenerate behavior marked the normal person as acceptance and expression, and the kind that Wiener celebrates includes this. Photos and videos of the events circulating on social media show men dressed in fetish attire openly participating in sexual acts on the public street. One photo shows two men sitting in a kiddie pool while another standing along the side pees into it. All right, that's about all we want to go there. Well, there you go.
Well, this is a very influential politician in San Francisco who has a lot of influence in the state, but he's just the tip of the iceberg. So, I repeat my statement, socialism is a symptom of mental illness. And you don't want to be normalizing it, and you certainly don't want to be voting for it, and you don't want to be putting people suffering from these delusions into public office, because they're only going to spread it to your kids, to your communities. They're going to make it harder for you to protect your children. How many parents in Colorado and Minnesota and California are freaking out daily about what could happen to their children? Their children go to some youth group at school. They don't know about it. They get they get brainwashed that they're transgender. Then they want a sex change, and you can't do anything about it. And if you try, your children are removed from you. That is the result of this kind of thing.
Well, that's that. Thankfully, the Supreme Court, has been dealing with a case, I think, out of Colorado that was trying to outlaw, basically what they call reparative therapy, or what we would call, maybe parenting and maybe Bible counseling, right?
Yeah. Well, they would call conversion therapy. That's what they would call. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does this tell you, that these people are on the ballots and running, and maybe they're going to win? What do you see long term for America, Trevor? 5 years, 10 years from now, what is the warning for us here in America, particularly with all these groypers, is that what you call them? All these people that have now, some of them were pro-MAGA, now they didn't get what they were promised, and they're turning, can't beat them, join them kind of thing. They're for socialism. They're for burning down the system. Alan Dershowitz was warning on my broadcast that some of these kids that are part of this pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas movement are going to become terrorists themselves. And of course, I think we're seeing some of that. So what does this tell you as the baby boomers die off, as they get up there in age and start leaving us, and this younger group of 30s and 40s? I mean, I'm arguing with people in their 30s and 40s that are friends of mine, and they're buying this idea that the Jews are taking over the world. I'm like, there's 0.2% of the population. What proof do you have they're taking over the world?
What they have is Russian propaganda websites pumping the stuff out. The groupers are a Russian operation. And so what the Russians and the Chinese and others are doing are fostering these wacko groups. They are exaggerating the contradictions in our society, making people more extreme, getting as many extremists into office as they can, using their voter registration groups that they control, etc. People will be shocked at how much the Chinese influence our elections, even in places like Florida and Nevada and whatever. They're everywhere. So they're getting these lunatics into power, into the education system, and they introduce all this wokeness. Then people are disgusted by the wokeness, and the Russians and the groupers are ready to harvest that. So you get these extremes building, and the moderate Reagan conservative, straight up constitutionalist, that view that has sustained this country for 250 years is getting squeezed out in the middle. And so, like 30 years ago, Brandon, if you were a conservative, you knew what you were. You know, you probably supported President Reagan, you supported Israel, you supported the Constitution, you supported strong national defense, Christianity, a sound education system, and the American free market system. That was that you could pretty much that was a conservative view, wasn't it? That was
Right.
very much what you did. Well, now conservatism is split on every issue, on Israel, on the economy, you name it.
Look at that headline, Politico. And that article is from August 1st. And today is August 3rd. So 2 days ago, Politico. GOP staffers say the party has a groiper problem. Party veterans. Veterans are concerned that the pipeline of young Republican talent is veering off course and into terminally online extremism.
Yep. Same with Turning Point USA people, you know, but that's it. And this is fostered by the Russians. This is, you get these, you know, the New York Young Republican Club. It's basically, it's an instrument of Russian propaganda.
Logan,
you know,
can you bring up, while he's talking, sorry to interrupt real quick. While he's talking, can you bring up that clip of, what's that moron? What's his name? That says he's not a capitalist? Yeah, bring that clip up. Let's talk about that. Because you just brought up Turning Point USA. And I know people on staff there.
Jack is very involved with Turning Point. They're trying to make it into a Groiper organization. And what are the Groipers? They're pro-Russian. They're anti-capitalist. They're a reaction to the woke left. They're a woke right reaction to the woke left. They're not American conservatives in any traditional sense. And Jack is fostering that. And I know Jack Posobiec, but he is very much on the wrong side of these issues.
How do you know Jack Posobiec?
I interviewed him in a documentary one time. I've met him at many conferences. We've always been on friendly terms. So I've never had a problem with him personally. But since the Ukraine war, I realized just how much he was in the Russian and Duginist camp, and very much in fostering the Groiper movement as well.
Yeah, well, I talked to somebody on staff with Turning Point USA a couple weeks ago, and I said, if you guys don't get rid of Jack Posobiec soon, he's going to destroy your organization.
What would they say to that?
Well, off the record, I won't tell the individual's name, but he said to me, there is a lot of concern about Jack. That's what he said. So I don't know how long this will work, but I said he's gonna maybe not single-handedly destroy your organization, but he's certainly going to cause a lot of older people to withdraw their financial support of that organization.
Yeah. Well, look, it's sad because, Anna Paulina Luna from Tampa, who is so in bed with the Russians, it's unbelievable, brought a delegation of Russian parliamentarians. Some of them are sanctioned to Washington, D.C. And in the meeting, right there in the meeting, is one of the top Turning Point USA guys right there.
Well, the individual told me that he said, I don't know if he said they're trying to get rid of him or what. I don't think he said that. I think what he said was, we're concerned. There are some of us that are definitely concerned. So we'll see where this goes.
There's a split. The Groiper element, the pro-Russian element, is trying to take over Turning Point. And Erica Kirk and her people, I don't think they quite realize what's happening. They're not really armed well enough to know how dangerous some of these people are. And they're infiltrating the lower levels, but they're getting into a lot of conservative organizations.
Sure they are.
Nick Fuentes and his young acolytes are doing this. And it's sad because most of these are good kids, but they're reacting to the woke left, and their solution is the Russian semi-fascist right.
So in other words, let me just explain that to the audience for maybe people don't understand. They're looking at the promotion of the LGBTQ agenda. They're looking at the massive inflation, the inability to afford a home, as they say. Of course, it's very affordable if you move to the Mid-South, guys. Still very affordable here. I've told you again and again, you can pick up a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, all brick, 1960s home in East Memphis for about $265,000, okay, all the way up to $295,000, pretty stinking nice. Low property taxes, no state income tax here. Not that we want a bunch of you coming here. We're good, thank you. But, it depends on where you choose to live. Don't live in New York and Chicago and then moan and complain about the price of housing. Don't be stupid. Move somewhere affordable. Go west, young man. Sometimes you have to move out of the East Coast and come out here. But I'm not sure we really want a bunch of them. But anywho, play this clip by, what's his name again?
Jack Posobiec.
Jack Posobiec. Here we go. Play. See, that's how insignificant these guys are to me. But anyway, here we go. Play it.
Like what? So then we need to.
What's the solution? The solution is MAGA. The solution is nationalist populism.
No.
Actually do it.
What is the solution to getting Kevin O'Leary not to do that? Take it away from him, to shame him, make sure that you can't post it on social media.
Absolutely,
but
he should absolutely
we are
be shamed.
capitalists.
100%.
We are fundamentally pro
I'm not a
somebody
capitalist.
spending their wealth how they want to spend their wealth.
I don't think we should center our country around capital. I think that's not Christian.
He said, I'm not a capitalist. He said it. I don't know if you guys caught it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're not a capitalist, what are you? My guess is, he going to explain what he is? 'Cause my guess is he's into more of the communitarianism. Big government, big business, merging together for a third way or a third option, which fits very nicely with technocracy. Communitarianism and technocracy fit very well together.
Well, technocracy is promoted by Curtis Yarvin, who is basically the American version of Alexander Dugin. And Jack Posobiec used to promote Dugin very, very strongly, So it all ties in. So they don't believe in the traditional American system. They believe the only way to stop socialism is basically to have fascism. That's what they ultimately believe in.
What's the long term? What do you see as the long-term trends here with war, headed toward World War III, all that's happening in the country? I mean, if you had to project right now, based on these trends that we're seeing in the Republican Party, Turning Point USA, et cetera, the evangelical world, what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years?
I would see potential civil war. Well, if the Democrats take over, we'll get communism. And see what these guys are not, Fuentes and these people are saying we should vote Democrat because we hate the Republican Party now, so we should vote Democrat, right? So that brings communism because the Democrat leaders are communism. If we don't get that, we're going to get this weak and split and divided Republican Party with this sort of Putin Republicans, the Groypers, all trying to destroy traditional conservatives, and you're going to get a major social breakdown, which will then be exploited to our great disadvantage by the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians who want to destroy this country. So we either get communism, straight out communism, and then destroyed by the Russians and the Chinese, or we get massive social division and then get destroyed by the Russians and Chinese and Iranians. That's the path that we're on. Doesn't mean we have to go down there, and I'm fighting tooth and nail to make sure we don't. Well, I think we all are, Brannon. But that's the trajectory. We are heading for destruction by our enemies because of the social division sown in our country by the Chinese on the left and by the Russians who are sowing it on the right, to the Groyper movement, the Posobiec's, the Steve Bannons, who's the guy from Alex Jones's, all of these people are sowing Russian propaganda on the right to divide us and weaken us.
So I'm going to go back again. 5 to 10 years from now, if you had to guess what's happening in the country, what's happening to the economy, what's happening to freedom of speech?
Economy is pretty much tanked. The US military is withdrawn from the world. Our enemies take over most of the world, and we are isolated, divided, and
isolated and divided.
Isolated, divided, and on the verge of near destruction.
That's your 5 to 10 year analysis.
Yeah, on current patterns, yes, unless this is turned around. And I'm actually more concerned about the Russian right, the woke right, than I am about the communists, because we know who they are, we can fight them. But the pro-Russian right, the Groypers and all that, they're on our side. Mm-hmm. They claim to be on our side. They're infiltrating our movement.
Yeah. And I'm getting, and I'm spending my time trying to help some of these people Let me read to you just because part of that includes extreme anti-Semitism.
Yep.
And one of them said to me today, and this is in their 40s. But what are they waiting for? What are they wailing for at the wall? He wants to know why are the Jews wailing at the wall? The end of the long exile that began with the Roman destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD, the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem, the ingathering of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, restoration of Jewish sovereignty under divine rule, the coming of the Messiah and the Messianic age. He wants to know why are they doing it? And he says, it makes my blood boil that this is what Republicans worship. And I said, you're getting exercise without context. You need my book on this topic. And he says they're taking part in a ritual they don't understand, obviously, talking about Republicans. And I'm trying to explain to him, you are mixing together. I said, remember, there are Jews like Alan Dershowitz warning about liberal Jews, because he's talking about the progressive Jews and how they're all working together for domination, a complete secular and religious path to world domination. I said, remember Jews like Alan Dershowitz warning about liberal Jews. You're mixing progressives with Orthodox, with globalist, and not taking into account all the secular Jews, which is the dominant in Israel. They want nothing more than to be left alone, most of them. Don't confuse their deep state and some of their extremists and then paint all Jews that way. That would be like painting all of us by the brush of Nick Fuentes or Adolf Hitler because he claimed to be a Christian. And yet this is what's going on, right?
It's 100% what's going on. Look, I've worked with many conservative, patriotic Jews. I've supported Israel since I was 9 years old. I have and I still do, absolutely. But look, you know, the anti-Semitism is 1,000 years old, but the Tsarist Russia really made it a science, and they spread the learned protocols of the elders of Zion, and they used that, claiming the Jews wanted to take over the world, and they used that to justify the pogroms, you know, slaughtering Jews by the thousands. That's why so many of them had to move to the United States. And then the Nazis picked up the same propaganda, and they spread that. And Hitler told the rich Germans that he would save them from the Jewish communists, and he told the working class Germans he'd save them from the Jewish capitalists. Well, then the Russians, the Soviets, picked it up again and spread it all through the Muslim world, you know, circulating copies of the learned protocols of the elders of Zion, all through the Middle East. That was done by the Romanian KGB. Ian Pachepa writes about that, the former head of the Romanian KGB. And now it's come back, and it's come through QAnon, through the Ron Paul movement, through Grey Zone, through Zero Hedge, through Alex Jones, and a whole bunch of these people. It's come through the Duginist movement. It's promoted by the Russians, and the goal is to destroy America's bonds with Israel. Because if we destroy America's bonds with Israel, Russia gets a warm water port in the Mediterranean and complete control of the Suez Canal and can choke off. It's a very strategic thing. This is what this whole thing is based on. So they dredge up the Khazarian mafia, they dredge up the protocols of Zion, they dredge up all this old British Israelite mythology, etc., and they pump it out through these pro-Russian websites into QAnon, into the Ron Paul movement, into the Libertarian movement, into the Groyper movement. Alex Jones picks it up, a whole bunch of others pick it up, and it becomes a popular opinion amongst young men in particular, and you've noted in the military. Just like Noam Chomsky on the left was very popular with young military men 10, 15 years ago, now this Russian-backed anti-Semitism is the new fashion. And it's being used to discredit the Republicans, discredit conservatives, and divide the military, divide the country. And who benefits? The Russians do, and the Chinese do. And they are promoting it 24/7 into our society. and and even into the evangelical movement now, it's getting infected with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because the replacement theology is everywhere, and the Calvinists are taking over denominations that were not historically Calvinist, which is why my book coming out this fall, Biblically Refuting the Heresy of Calvinism, is so important. I mean, you read John Calvin and you swear you're reading Hitler.
No, John Calvin wasn't very friendly with the Jews, that's for sure. But the point I'm making is, Brannon, this is the Russians study our religious culture, our political culture. They have hundreds of people working on it full time. They know where all our weaknesses are, and they tailor their propaganda to that. And so what we're seeing is the application of Russian propaganda to our Christian communities, our political communities, to cause maximum division, which makes maximum weakness, which means the future war with Russia and China makes it more likely that they will win and conquer us. This is a softening up exercise to divide us. And it's been promoted by people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who call themselves patriots. But they're doing Russia's work for them. They are working against their own country, whether they fully understand it or not.
And then I see where a bunch of them got together with Tucker this weekend at his place, and I don't know, are they organizing a third party, it looks like, or something?
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Look, I used to like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think she's a brave lady.
I've interviewed her several times in person. A year ago, May, on Capitol Hill. She's been on this broadcast many times. What happened to her? I mean, but can we not say that about so many of our past friends?
Yeah, the Russians got her. She hangs around with the Code Pink now. So a completely Chinese operation. The Russians got her. She believes the Russian narrative, the QAnon narrative. The Russians are the good guys. Putin's a Christian. We are the center of world communism. We are the bad guys. The Chinese are actually the white hats. Putin's a white hat. We're the black hats. We're the bad guys. So you get Americans who think they're patriots allying with their enemies. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a classic example. An old Tea Partier who loved America, who bought the Russian narrative, and is now an enemy of this country.
And now you got General Flynn standing there with pictures with Massey. You got General Flynn putting out tweets how great it was to be at that Catholics for Catholic events with Candace Owens. I mean, what on earth? I mean, so many of our people, we can't promote them anymore.
Well, that's right. General Flynn is very much promoting the Russian narrative. See, the big hero to me right now is Laura.
And when did that happen? Was he always that way?
Well, look, he went to Russia and went to GRU headquarters, Russian military intelligence headquarters, against the advice of his own officials. About 2013, he went dinner in Moscow with Putin. And he has followed the Russian narrative ever since. And I know the guy. I like the guy. I've met him. But see, a lot of this I didn't really realize until the Ukraine war. And then I started to see all these people I respected just coming down on the side of the Russians. And I'm thinking, how can you even think this way? But see, you look at Laura Loomer, who was very much along these narratives, good friend of Jack Posobiec. Ukraine bad, Zelensky terrible.
She just went over there.
I know she has done a complete 180. And what does General Flynn say? Laura Loomer should keep out of things she knows nothing about. General Flynn criticized her. Look, she's I know her a little bit. She has got a lot of integrity. I was totally at odds with her when she was supporting, against Ukraine. But I said to her, Laura, you got to understand, the people who are lying to you about Israel are the same people who are lying to you about Ukraine. And I think she's put not saying I did it, but she's put two and two together. She's seen the same people who are hating on Israel, all these, the Alex Joneses of the world, and all these people are condemning Israel, supporting Iran, are the same people that are supporting Russia and Ukraine and calling the Ukrainians Nazis and all this kind of garbage. It's the same thing. This is all Russian propaganda. I joke, and it's only partially a joke. You know, there are three main elements in the Earth's atmosphere. There's nitrogen, oxygen, and Russian propaganda. It is everywhere.
And yet,
it is shaping our culture right now.
And yet, Trevor, so many of these people that want to argue about the Jews have very little to say about this that's happening in Texas. That's Texas.
Because the Muslims are now our allies against the Jews, you see. So all these conservatives used to criticize Islam. Many of them won't do it now because they hate the Jews so much that Islam is our ally. We're going to be friends with Iran now. This is why Tucker Carlson is defending Iran. We shouldn't go after Iran because they see Iran as an ally against the Jews. They see Iran as an ally of Russia. So now we've got to be okay with the Muslims. This is exactly what's happening here.
And this is Houston right here. The other was Dallas. This is now Houston.
And there was a great big several thousand march in Dearborn, Michigan the other day with waving flags. It was like a military occupation, you know. But they support this because now the Muslims are our friends. They're friends of Russia and they're enemies of Israel. So we got to be their friends now.
And yet, Trevor, would you agree that either we have a couple camps here. We have the camp that's completely checked out. We have the camp of people who have joined this because they're deceived. And then we have the camp of people that don't know what to believe. And I think there's a lot of people in the I don't know what to believe camp than any other camp.
Absolutely.
Because they're so confused when you hear, in my opinion, morons like Jack Posobiec, morons spewing this garbage. They're confused. They don't know who to believe anymore. So they're kind of in the, I don't know what to believe, but pretty soon, guess what? They're going to be in the, I don't care anymore camp, the camp that's checked out, because eventually they're going to say, I don't understand it. It takes too much. I have bills to pay. I'm having financial struggles paying for groceries. I don't have time to deal with these people in their confusion and figure it out. And they're going to throw up their hands and become demoralized and walk off.
And that is exactly what the Russians and the Chinese are trying to do.
Exactly.
So we don't vote. We are divided. We are apathetic. We check it. Well, the famous
Yuri Bezmenov.
What was his name? Bezmenov. You know, the
demoralize, destabilize, chaos, the new norm.
Bezmenov. So what's demoralize, destabilize? Okay, and then you normalize that. We are in the demoralization and destabilization phase. And this is being driven by Russia, China, and Iran through channels here, through some of our own influencers who have taken their money to destroy and weaken their own country. You know, this is treason here. And some people we've looked up to, we've admired, people we thought were on our side, have taken Qatari money, have taken Russian money, have met with Alexander Dugin in Rome, have promoted Russian Duginism, have, like Alex Jones, has Victor Bout, a convicted Russian terrorist who supplied arms to our enemies, has him on his show 3 or 4 times in the last month, you know, promoting him as some nice guy. You know, this is, and we allow it. We allow these people to do what they're doing. And because a lot of them pretend to be friends of Trump. And so we're just being ripped apart by these people.
Mm-hmm. And yet Trump has completely flipped on the Muslim situation as well, because I think he's bought the lie of the moderate versus the radical Muslim. This is him back in 2016. Listen to this, guys.
Including
Let me start it over. Volume, here we go.
The proposals to deal with this, including withdrawal of passports from some of these people who've gone
absolutely good,
and closing some mosques. Would you do the same thing in America?
I would do that, absolutely. I think it's great. I know they have a lot of proposals over there. If you
the proposals to deal with this.
Wow, where's that guy? Wow, everything now is about fighting the Jews. The Muslims are taking over, and the president seems to have also flipped. He's talking about Netanyahu as in past tense terms on Air Force One the other day. The Arabs have told him that Benjamin Netanyahu is the stumbling block to peace in the Middle East. And, I'm starting. And where is he on taking down the infiltration in the country? He seemed to have gotten it before. And now we have Laura Loomer. She's saying, wow, this must be one of the most hidden and underreported news stories right now. Apparently, the DOJ, under a GOP administration, told the city of Broken Arrow in Oklahoma that the Trump DOJ is investigating the city's decision not to allow for a mosque to be built. This is outrageous.
That is an old tactic that the Muslim Brotherhood have been using. They go into areas where they want to put a mosque in. The local council says no. Then they go to the DOJ and the DOJ prosecutes them. That is still happening today under Trump's Department of Justice.
Yeah.
That was happening under Biden. It was happening under Obama, but it's still happening today. See, Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize. He wants the Abrahamic Peace Accords, So who's the stumbling block to that? Israel. But he's also got people like J.D. Vance around him who are influenced by Curtis Yarvin.
Who's very dangerous. He's a dangerous person.
Very dangerous. But he says the world should be divided into spheres of influence. Iran should have its sphere. America should have its sphere. China should have its sphere. Russia should have its sphere. So that is why J.D. Vance reputedly convinced Trump the other day to stop the bombing of Iran. So you got the vice president persuading the president to stop carrying through a very necessary campaign to take down the Iranian regime. And this guy wants to be the president. No, we cannot have J.D. Vance as president. He has got none of Trump's good points and all of Trump's bad points.
So well said. Well, it's like everything has been flipped upside down. Since 2016, everything is flipped upside down, Trevor.
Yep, it has. And we got to understand it's the Russians and the Chinese doing it, complicit with people in our own system.
And the only thing I would add is the Russians. The only thing I would add is Russians, the Chinese, and the Islamists. Don't forget about the billions by Qatar and other countries, the red-green axis.
Absolutely. Iran, Qatar, Hamas, they are all in cahoots. And you can't make deals with these people. Nope. You can isolate them, you can stand, like Thomas Jefferson didn't make any deals with the Barbary pirates. He went and eliminated their power. That is the only way to deal with these situations. They do not respond to business deals. They don't want Trump to build hotels in their capital and make money together. They want to dominate the world for Allah, and the Russians and the Chinese want to do it for Marx. Mm-hmm. So it's, but President Trump, for all his virtues, I do not think really understands ideology. He doesn't get the motivations of these people, so he can get sucked in to being weak with them.
Indeed. All right, Trevor Loudon, trevorloudon.com, trevorloudon.com. Doing a great job over at trevorloudon.com. Lots of articles. You can find his books over there and so much more. trevorloudon.com. Now, Trevor, we have a big election night coming up here this November. Will you join us? We can dial you in and have you here with us?
Possibly. I'm open to the idea. It just depends on my schedule at the time. I have to check my diary on that. But I could be.
You might be getting your hair done, washing your hair. It's election night.
I need a haircut. Yeah. We'll see, Brannon. Look. I'll see what I can do.
All right. Well, I don't know if we have to. Whatever we need to do to book you in. We've already confirmed Garland Favorito. We've already confirmed. Who else did we confirm, Logan? Doug Frank. So anyway, let us know what we need to do to confirm you before someone else books you, because I think we're going to have a lot to talk about on election night with some of the Democrat Socialists of America being elected.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, look, get back to me, Brannon. I haven't got my diary right in front of me, so I don't know where I'm going to be at that time.
All right. So, who knows? You might be back at your homeland.
Who knows? Might be deported.
No, you won't be deported. You're fine. TrevorLoudon.com. TrevorLoudon.com. Thank you, Trevor.
Thanks very much, Brannon, and thanks to all the audience.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we'll be right back after this break.
You've heard about the new wave of GLP-1 weight loss shots, but you've also heard about the side effects, the nausea, the fatigue, the risks of injecting synthetic hormones into your body. What if there were a better way, a natural way? Meet Bellamelt, the indulgent, sugar-free caramel treat that's quietly changing the way women take charge of their weight. Unlike injections that flood your body with synthetic GLP-1, Bellamelt works with your body, using potent botanicals and essential nutrients to help you naturally increase your own GLP-1, the same hormone that controls hunger, cravings, and fat burning. Activated the way nature intended. Just a delicious caramel melt 30 minutes before your meal. In a 10-week clinical study of its key ingredient, African mango, participants lost an average of 28 pounds, reduced body fat by over 18%, and trimmed nearly 7 inches off their waist. Visit melissahousebg.com today. That's melissahousebg.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individual results may vary.
Joining me now is Patrick Wood. He has a 2-part series out. Here's part 1. Part 1, Technocrats called for dictatorship and technocracy in 1932. This is part 1. And we're going to go to part 2 in just one momento. Welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us tonight, Patrick.
You're welcome. Good to be with you.
You say, in my tattered copy of Henry A. Porter's Roosevelt and Technocracy, 1932, an early reader drew a careful bracket around a single passage on page 72. It reads, quote, radical and immediate changes in both our political and economic systems will be necessary. This can be accomplished by vesting supreme and emergency power in some one man who has the confidence and respect of a majority of the American people. That man is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to whom should be given dictatorial powers in the approaching crisis, end quote.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
Really? I have this book in my hand right now. I got this on a rare book site, Roosevelt and Technocracy. This, you can see it's falling apart.
Mm-hmm. So, 1932.
This is the book for 1932. This was before, by the way, Howard Scott and M. King Hubbard formed Technocracy, Inc. So there's an interim period between Columbia University and the start of the movement called Technocracy,
and
Inc.
Who's Henry A. Porter? Who is this guy?
Well, nobody knows. He was obvious. He was kind of like maybe a financial guy and of the period. He was an economist. He said, well, he was of national fame and fortune, but I couldn't find any more about him at all. And no obituary, no university, that sort of thing. Nevertheless, he put it in writing, and he was associated with the technocrats at Columbia University. This is amazing.
Do you think that was a shadow name, a pen name?
No, I don't think it was. There's no evidence of it, that it was written. Nobody's suggested it was written by somebody in the popular media back then. But the interesting thing is, in that period of time, when Columbia University had Technocracy under its wing, one famous advocate of technocracy was Randolph Hearst, the empire builder and the media empire. He controlled basically all the major newspapers in the country. And I never saw that he actually produced a movie in 1932. And there's a clip in this article. It's like 2 minutes and 44 seconds. It's an amazing clip for this movie that the guy said it's just the worst movie president ever.
Well, let's play it. Let's play it.
It's crazy. You just listen to it. Listen to it.
Let's play it. Here we go.
Gentlemen, I am here as a representative of the American people in their hour of darkest despair. A plant cannot be made to grow by watering the top alone and letting the roots go dry.
Hey,
the people
pause
of this
it for
country
just
are
a
the
second.
roots of the nation,
Let me
and the sturdy
interject.
trunk and the branches too.
All right. There's not a pause button.
Spent $4 billion
yeah.
only to aggravate adversity.
Oh, there it is, up in the middle of the screen. All right, there we go. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Let me just say, I'll give you the spoiler.
Okay.
The theme of the movie was a new kind of a do-nothing president was elected, and then he had a vision when he was sick. He got a car accident, sick in bed. He saw the angel Gabriel. Okay, it transformed his life. Apparently, something happened to him, and all of a sudden, he changed his whole demeanor, his whole approach to government, and and the heat of the Depression. He's all for the people, making America great again, that sort of thing. Okay, so the backdrop of this is that the angel Gabriel appeared to him and maybe even took over his life somehow. I don't know. They didn't say that, but you don't get possessed by angels necessarily. But just with that as a backdrop, he makes this inspired speech to Congress. Okay, so play the rest of it.
Okay, here we go.
Of the nation and the sturdy trunk and the branches too. You have spent $4 billion only to aggravate adversity. I ask for $4 billion to restore buying power, stimulate purchases, restore prosperity. You have wasted precious days and weeks and years in futile discussion. We need action, immediate and effective action.
Mr. President, there is a movement in Congress for your impeachment. Hardly time for making any requests, however small.
Very well. I shall withdraw that request, but I would like to substitute another. I ask you, gentlemen, to declare a state of national emergency and to adjourn this Congress until normal conditions are restored. During the period of that adjournment, I shall assume full responsibility for the government.
Mr. President, this is dictatorship.
Senator Langham, words do not frighten me.
But the United States of America is a democracy.
We are not yet ready to give up the government of our fathers. Order, please, order! You have given it up. You've turned your backs. You've closed your ears to the appeals of the people. You've been traitors to the concepts of democracy upon which this government was founded. I believe in democracy as Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln believed in democracy. And if what I plan to do in the name of the people makes me a dictator, then it is a dictatorship based on Jefferson's definition of democracy, a government for the greatest good of the greatest number.
This Congress refuses to adjourn.
I think, gentlemen, you forget that I am still the President of these United States. And as Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, it is within the rights of the President to declare the country under martial law.
All right, there you go, Patrick.
Listen to the last headline here. Congress accedes to the presidency. This is crazy. This is Randolph Hearst. He was arguably the one of the major factors of promoting technocracy when I was at Columbia University. He got burned big time by Howard Scott, who, as it turned out, didn't even have an engineering degree at all. But he was kicked out from Columbia, the whole group actually, and they set out on another course. But in the meantime, Columbia University outlawed, well, didn't outlaw, but they got rid of the technocracy movement and anything related to it, like even the word technocracy. And so Randolph Hearst wrote this movie, or sponsored it, during that interim period. This is really instructive, because this is what they were thinking. This is total technocracy at that point, declaring the end or putting Congress in suspension in order to take to declare martial law to take care of this emergency. That was the Great Depression, of course. But when Roosevelt took office, that's just about what he did. And all the technocrats who were swept into his administration, they helped him, build back, if you will, build back better. Should I use that phrase? Mm-hmm. Here we are. That now, fast forward to part two.
Wow. Let's go to part two. Yeah. Part two. Technocrats call for dictatorship and technocracy in 2026. So we go from a movie. What year was that movie again?
1932.
So we go from a black and white movie in 1932 to 2026, calling for the same thing. And of course, what we're highlighting here is Curtis Yarvin. And by the way, Patrick, I haven't told you this. We bought technocracy.tv.
Ooh, nice.
And we are starting a 24/7 Technocracy channel here in the next few weeks.
Holy moly.
So everything that we're doing right now is going to be a part of that channel. So we're building out 22 channels altogether that will be for our premium members of the Vault. I'm announcing it here. Wow. There you go. Fast Facts on False Teachers, the Brannon Howse Commentary Channel. That's just all my commentaries, one after the other. Technocracy TV channel, the Israel channel, and Aaron's coming on more full-time with us. The Psalms and Proverbs channel, that'll be me reading Psalms and Proverbs 24/7. The Scripture channel, we're working for me to have the whole Bible. The Worldview Hymns channel, we already have that. The Creation and Apologetics channel, nothing but apologetics and biblical creation. Worldview Report News channel, we have that one already. The Home and Health channel, we have that one already. The Worldview Bible channel, that's just Bible teaching, we have that one already. The Financial channel, that'd be nothing but financial news. The Bible Answer channel, that'll be nothing but me shooting Bible questions at Andy Woods, John Whitcomb, and others. We've edited it so it's like question, answer, just nonstop. The Constitution and Law and Liberty channel. The Testimony channel, that's people like Steve Saint, Michael Forshard, Michael Reagan, Anita Dunn, Russell O'Quinn, all these people giving their testimony we have on video. The Exposing Islam channel. I wonder what we'll talk about there. Worldview History channel. We already have that one. That'll be a lot of our documentaries. The Cults channel. Things on Freemasonry, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses. The Creation and Apologetics channel. I think I've already mentioned that one. The Bible Prophecy channel. Worldview Financial. Worldview, some of them are doubled up. I got to get that fixed. But anyway, you get the idea. A lot of great channels coming. So anyway, one of them is going to be the really Technocracy channel.
That's good. Sounds really good. Yeah.
So anyway, back to the topic, because that's how important this is, folks. That's how important this is. Yeah. Let's go back to your article. Again, part 2, Technocrats call for a dictatorship and technocracy in 2026.
Here we are, almost 100 years later. This is absolutely stunning. Don't play that clip, by the way. It's a longer clip and has some strong language at the end. So I don't want you don't want to get into that for sure. But you can listen to this expose of Curtis Yarvin just to show how unplugged this guy is. He's in the same sense that Porter was. Nobody knew who this guy was. Curtis Yarvin came out of the blue. Nobody knew who he was. But both of them are making bold claims that what we have to do, we have to install a monarchy in America, get rid of Congress, and basically appoint technocrats to run everything. This is a warmed over trope from the 1930s. It really is, and I think this is evidence that you can hang your hat on. Curtis Yarvin, by the way, when you see just how unplugged this guy is with his dark enlightenment philosophy, it makes your hair stand on end. It really does. This guy is so unplugged, and he is not just that he wants to install a monarchy in America, but the fact that Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance talk about him a lot. Peter Thiel says Yarvin is his house philosopher, whatever that means. I'm not sure, but he's risen to the top of these people's minds, the technocrats in Washington, D.C., even Elon Musk, for instance. And his philosophy is working its way in through public policy in Washington, D.C. This is very disturbing as well. But here you have a guy that talks about the concept of benevolent genocide. What does that mean? Well, you read our book, The Final Betrayal. You find out exactly what he means. He's talking about getting rid of people without shooting them necessarily, and you don't want to even think about genocide in any terms, whether it's benevolent or otherwise. But this is a guy that should not be anywhere close to public policy. By the way, has a fan with J.D. Vance as well, and maybe you believe it or maybe not, but other people have been talking about Curtis Yarvin, like Steve Bannon, for instance. So go figure. He's made the rounds. Curtis Yarvin. Indeed.
All right. Let's see. So where do you see this going? Any new indication with Trump saying on again, off again attacks on Iran? Now he's listening more and more to the countries out of the Gulf states. He admitted today, he's listening to Saudi Arabia, Qatar. He's listening to these guys. What do you see here going forward?
Obviously, there's lots of wild cards at this point. The stuff that's not necessarily under the direct control. I think in the end, they'll figure out a way to mute the radicals in Iran, at least to the point of making them cooperate with the economic plan. How long that will take, who knows? But we see finally the Middle East, the countries in the Middle East are standing up for their rights and sending airplanes and bombs and stuff of their own into Iran. So this is a good sign on one hand. Let them fight their own battles. How about let them get rid of these people? If they don't like them, they have to live with them. So we don't, but we already know that this war was not about politics anyway. It was about the control over the Strait of Hormuz. And I think this is still in view at this point. That's just about all that they're talking about at this point. The Strait.
All right. Any other news?
Well, probably every day there's something new coming out, but we have to watch certainly the war developing around the world.
How about
there's
the Clarity
so many
Act?
conflicts.
Will it pass or not?
Pardon?
Will the Clarity Act pass or not?
We don't know at this point. It's coming down to the wire, and Trump, I think, is probably going to be ready to pick up the phone himself to jawbone more senators into passing the act. It's coming down to a deadline, I think, just this month, where Congress is going to be recessed. And I don't know if the president can declare that they can't recess I think if he could do it, I think he probably would at this point. You guys, in other words, you guys get your business done, then you can go home, sort of thing. So we'll have to see. But the Clarity Act is so important at this point to cement the regulatory structure of this new privatized system, financial system, that Trump and the arch technocrats in Washington, D.C. have erected in 2025. So they have to have this passed at some point. And if they don't have it now, they'll have to wait for the next year to get it passed. But you know it's going to pass at some point, whether now or later. If it's later, it'll throw a monkey wrench into some of their plans, but not for long.
All right, keep us posted. As always, Technocracy News, technocracy.news, technocracy.news, and Technocracy News TV show with Patrick Wood and Logan Howse. Remind me of the days, guys. Tuesdays and Thursdays?
That's right.
At 6 o'clock Central?
That's right.
Wow. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, apparently. All right, there you go. Technocracy.news. As always, thank you, Patrick.
You bet. God bless.
You too. We'll be right back, guys, right after this short break.
3 years ago, the United States was stunned by an announcement from war-torn Korea. U.S. Army Private David Hawkins and 20 other prisoners of the communists had become turncoats. They had renounced their own country and disappeared behind Red China's bamboo curtain.
What had you heard? Well, only what our Chinese captors had told us, how great they were working toward socialism, the great stride that they were taking, bettering the life of the Chinese people who for so many thousands of years had lived a life of oppression under various governments.
Joining me now is Annie Cyrus. Annie, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
President Trump says America is in total control of the Strait of Hormuz today from the Oval Office. Listen to this, please.
Would Iran be willing to return to fully free navigation of the
It has to be. I'm not going to let them charge. Anybody's going to charge, we'll charge. We're the one that has total. We have total control. You know, we have a thing called a blockade with his Navy. And that Navy is, they call it a wall of steel, the United States wall of steel. And no, there's not going to be charging.
We're in total control.
We're not talking about charging at all. There won't be charging.
We're in total control, Annie.
We are. We're like 100% in control. Does he realize, does he even know what he's talking about?
I don't know, but
it seems like he's talking about like his golf course or the purchase of bedding for his hotel. He's talking about Strait of Hormuz that has, IRGC sadly has proven that we do not control it. If we controlled the Strait of Hormuz, this would all be supposedly based on his own claim, being Trump's claim, this would be over. And the argument, I'm sorry, the main point that got my attention was like, they're not going to charge. If anybody's going to charge, we're going to charge. Again, let's remind everybody who forgot. The Strait of Hormuz was open under nobody's control before this war. And to be specific, before United States of America's war with Iran, not Israel. During the 12 days war or the first 3 days of this year war, the Strait of Hormuz stayed open, didn't it? So what are we fixing? Something we broke?
Let's go to the next clip.
When we talk, we say we're talking. If we're not talking, when you ask me, no, we're not talking, I'll say it. But we are talking right now. We're talking, and we're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called, the leaders of many are friendly with a lot of them. Almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document.
It's the last chance, Annie. I think they're, as I said on radio today, they're shaking in their towels over there. They're shaking in their sheets.
They are. Didn't we hear this is the last one last time and the time before that? And I believe one more time before that is when we heard this is the last time.
Mm-hmm.
And to give context to what he's saying is because Iran came out and said, we are not going to talk. We do not want to talk. And then President Trump put a post out saying Iran's lying. They're begging almost for talks. So he's doing, again, a kind of a PR damage control. Mm-hmm. But I find it very interesting. Saudi Arabia and Qatar are backing the request of Iran. Again, goes back to a long time ago when I said, as long as Saudi Arabia and Qatar have Trump's ear, this isn't going to be over.
Well, yeah, I think, yeah. In fact, that fits with what we discussed on radio and television today at 1 o'clock Central. We had the headline that President Trump is being told that the problem is Benjamin Netanyahu, that Benjamin Netanyahu is the stumbling block or the obstacle to peace. Here it is, Arab leaders to Trump. Netanyahu is an obstacle to regional peace. This is over at Yeshiva World News. So it's Benjamin Netanyahu's fault, says the Arab leaders.
Well, I guess that's exactly why President Trump speaks of Bibi in past tense.
That's right. You and I were discussing that last week, were we not?
Yeah, exactly. The obstacle is to be removed. Now, the question is he going to be removed through the upcoming election, or is he going to be removed through the hit list of IRGC? That's the question we don't have an answer to yet.
I pray it's not the latter.
I pray he's not removed altogether, because we know not only he's not the obstacle, but he's the only reason we still have a fighting chance.
And of course, Iran is mocking Trump. Iran threatens preemptive strikes, mocks Trump for canceling attack. That's the headline over at World Israel News. So, yeah.
That's not new either. They've been mocking Trump for a while now.
Now let's talk about these 7 attacks, or excuse me, I should say attacks across 7 states. Water supplies being hit by what are reported now to be Iranian hacks across 7 states. As I put in my Worldview report tonight, that's not new. This was being talked about several years ago and practiced and warned about. Now it's coming to fruition. This is something we were talking and warning about. Others were talking and warning about. The government was warning about. And now here it is. Annie, and of course, the concern is it's going to go from water to something else. Banking, they're already hacking on our banks. That's been going on. Again, by the way, I've reported on it in my Worldview report tonight. They've been practicing and leading up to this, and more than likely sitting inside systems waiting. The question is, what more will they do? What would be a trigger for more escalation? And again, does President Trump know some of this? Is this why he keeps backing down from he was saying it was going to be the worst strike of any country since World War II? And then, no, not so much. What do you think is going on behind the scenes? Is it him being warned by these Arab countries, or is it he gets reports about Iran having more control over us and us being at more risk from Iran than he's willing to tell the American people?
Well, if I might get the date wrong, but it wasn't more than 2 months ago that Canada actually handed over to us an Iranian man who was wanted by our government for leading the hacking group, one of the hacking groups. We just got him maybe 2 months ago, maybe less. My point is, you're correct. Iran did not just come up with a way. Iran has been hacking all of our systems for years now. Years, not months, years. So yes, they're already in our systems. There have been too many names. I want to say on top of wanted list, we do have 4 Iranian names tied to the hacking groups of IRGC-backed groups. So yes, you're correct there, 100%. As far as what's going to be the escalation for IRGC doesn't escalate. IRGC is doing their thing. There's no escalate. This is the escalation. They're not going to stop, if that's the question. And that's exactly why people like me say there is no negotiation, there's no backing down. You're either going to take this cancer out or you're going to sit around and die of it. It's just simple as that.
But at what point does it go beyond water hacking of 7 states to something more?
Gradually, when they do all of this and they realize we're genuinely going to just roll over and take it. They're just going to keep adding pressure. That's how they're handling it.
And how much of that,
piece by piece,
and how much of that is working and in context helps us understand why Trump keeps backing down. Is any of this playing? Is he in his private briefings? Is he being told things that are making him go, "Oh my word! If I want to lose the midterms, this is certainly the way to do it. I can't have them do that. Call the strike off."
I believe that does play a role, though I very much disagree with. First of all, what you've lost, you've lost. Don't try to salvage it now. Everyone at this point knows that he has lost the midterm. Done. Many other people strongly believe, regardless of what happens tomorrow, he has also destroyed the reputation of Republican Party. That's another thing.
But you agree with me that he's getting spooked by his private briefings as to what Iran can do in the country?
Yes, but I think you need to add another layer to that, though, Brannon. He's also getting detailed reports that his buddies, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, all of his buddies could literally flip and side with Iran when they realize Iran has the upper hand. And they can do even more damage inside America than IRGC itself.
Logan,
so
can we
the
pull
pressure
up the
isn't just
caller?
Iran.
Can we pull up, was it Doug that called in, the last caller from today? Can we pull that up and play that for Annie, please? And by the way, we got emails from people saying they have lots of relatives that believe the exact same thing that the caller said. And I'm not mocking the caller. I'm not playing this to mock the caller. I'm glad the caller called in. But I want to let Annie respond to it as we did today, because there are a lot of people that believe that Trump is playing some kind of 4D, 5D chess and has these people, Qatar, Qatar, Iran, all of them right where he wants them, Annie.
Of course. Yeah, there is no existing number D of chess at this point that can win this. Now, people prefer human nature. This has nothing to do with the gender, age, race, none of that. It's just human nature. Comfort of denial has proven to cut people off guard. And that's exactly what this group of people are going to face.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to face it until they face it.
And
these are just.
And in my worldview report tonight, Annie, I talked about, as you and I have, the fact that Iran is also reaching out and hiring non-Islamic groups to do their bidding. They're hiring drug cartels, hardcore people to help carry out some of these attacks. And these people, they're hard to track because there's no ideology or ideological Islamic footprint on social media to do that.
Yes. Again, I broke the news on your show, and then I published a Substack about it probably 6 weeks ago. I don't know. The Mukhtar unit. And in that, I did say that the unit specifically has been activated to carry out the assassinations of the list, which started from 12. It is now somewhere close to 30 names in it. And they are literally, they've been given budget to hire what you just said. I named the Mexican cartel in there. Again, the whatever Angels biker
Hell's Angels,
Hell's Angels bikers. And in Europe now, you hear some of the European governments admittedly saying that their mafias in their countries are being paid by IRGC. We had the conviction of the 2 Russian assassins right here in New York City who got paid by IRGC to take out Masih Ali-Nashad. So yes, I mean, the follow the money and the reports, yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
They have the money, they have the budget, and anyone who's willing to take the money and deliver the head, then so be it.
Let me play the last caller from today's broadcast. Here we go. Doug, line 3. Doug, you go. We'll get you in. Go ahead, Doug.
Yes. I believe Trump is deliberately prolonging this until he gets all the countries of the Middle East to interact with each other. He's just he's not a univariate problem solver. He's a multivariate problem solver. This is not just U.S. versus Iran. His foremost goal, as we've already stated a few times, is to bring peace and stability to the Middle East, and beyond that, to the world. He hasn't said that often, but he definitely hasn't made it. He's really very consistent. Now, he's not a believer. Obviously, he doesn't have a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus. That's evident. But he is a brilliant strategist using brilliant insight into how people can and will act selfishly on behalf of their own self-interest. And this is what makes him such a great, deal of the art, or art of the deal kind of person. He also needs time to bolster the U.S. military in the region. I believe there are more and more assets arriving all the time. He could quit it anytime he wants to, but he wants to optimize it for a longer-lasting peace in the Middle East. It's not just U.S. versus Iran.
Thank you, Doug. I got to go, but out of time. All right, there we go. So Doug, he's not the only one. I got emails from people saying my family members believe this same thing. He is a brilliant strategist, and he's winning. We just need to chill. Andy?
Well, I get those comments and messages myself as well. Well, they normally say, I need to chill. And I will follow what you said. I'm not mocking your caller, but I will pray for your caller for one reason and one reason only. After the sentence of it's evident that Trump does not have a relationship with the Lord, the next sentence should not be he's brilliant working on a longer lasting peace in the Middle East. The sentence after that should be, we pray for him to come to Jesus. Because you cannot claim Christianity at the same time trust an earthly man to bring everlasting peace to Middle East. They kind of sort of contradict each other. On that note, I will pray for your caller. As far as Trump is concerned, again, you know where I stand. He might be brilliant on making deals when it comes to hotels and properties and real estate and all of that. But again, when you deal with the devil, first of all, we know that devil is no dummy either. Secondly, devil knows the tricks. You might be brilliant, but he knows how to trick you. And IRGC is, if not the first, second or third high level students of the devil. They have proven it in 47 years. So there's no credit. There's no winning. The only way you win the devil is, you denounce the devil, you don't make deals with it, you don't dance with it, you stay away with it from it, or you end it if you have the capability. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Let's, speaking of great strategist, okay, we played a clip a while ago of him from 2016 talking about closing down. He's willing to close down some of the mosques in America. That was him in 2016, President Trump, being interviewed on Fox Business with Varney, whatever Varney's name is. And now here we have tonight, we already mentioned, DOJ investigating city's denial of mosque proposal. This is in Oklahoma, okay? Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. DOJ investigating city's denial of mosque proposal. And the city's put out a notice saying, hey, we realize we've been informed that DOJ is going to investigate us for that. Well, 2016, he was on the air talking about how he would be willing to maybe shut down some of these mosques. Now his DOJ is investigating a city that doesn't want to have a mosque go forward. What is going on here, Annie?
Well, he's also the same. Hold on, let me finish what's in my head first. This is the same DOJ that basically dropped all investigations into Epic City. For your audience, because they may not have as good of a memory as I do. This is the same DOJ that has stopped investigating Yasser Qadhi and his entire charade of building Epic City in Texas. But back to what you asked. This is the same President Trump in 2016 who said Qatar needs to be stopped. It's the biggest funder of terrorism. And now they have a base here in America. This is the same President Trump who said we have an Islam problem. Yeah, there's a small percentage of them who are good people, but the rest of them are dangerous. And now two jihadists, one convicted who served 13 years, walk into the building every day and sit at the what is it called? Religious Liberty Department.
Commission. Mm-hmm. Commission, yeah.
So, yes, the contrast is there. as far as what happened, I think previously I said that he very well understands Islam. He understands jihad. However, one of the problems, and by the way, this doesn't apply to Trump. It applies to almost historically, if you look back and scan through any president who ran 2 terms, either back to back or in any shape, second term always comes down to they got nothing to lose. This is it. They know after this they're going home. So their personal interests tend to always overshadow the nation's interest. And I think that's what we're facing today.
And let's go then to the American Jews. I was telling Trevor that I get emails from people in their 30s and 40s, and I'm trying to convince them because they're emailing me talking about how the Jews are trying to take over the progressives and the Orthodox, and all of them are working together to take over the world. I'm like, no, they're not, okay? They only are 0.2% of the world's population. It's the Islamists that will tell you openly they're here to take over. I'm not hearing this coming from the Jews saying they're here in America to take over. I can show you all kinds of videos from imams in America saying this, that they're here to take over. They are not here to assimilate. They are here to take over. We get this all the time from the Muslims, but they're so worried about the Jews. And these are people that claim to be conservatives. Let me just tell you, many of the Jews are not interested in world government. I can tell you that right now. I don't know what percentage these people are reading garbage and claptrap and repeating it. But I came across a very interesting interview today at Israel 365 News. And these are 2 Jewish guys talking about the Jews in America. Many of the Jews in America are turning against Israel. Watch and listen.
We're talking about the settler violence. And what I noticed, I was looking around to see what people are saying about it in America. And I noticed that the American Jewish, in the American Jewish mainstream media, and there is such a thing for those who may not know, the American Jewish community, just for a little bit of background for people new to this topic, the American Jewish community, again, unless you've been living under a rock for the last, 50 years, the American Jewish community leans hard to the left in comparison to the Jews in Israel, certainly, but also in comparison to American society. It tends to be a more left-leaning group. Over 70% of American Jews identify as Democrats. And that's the way most American Jews are. Orthodox Jews in America, who only comprise, as of 2021, 11% of the American Jewish population. I imagine that number has risen post-October 7th. A lot of Jews who used to affiliate with the more liberal branches of Judaism have moved over to Chabad and have become more traditional. That there is that phenomenon. We call them October 8th Jews, people who've abandoned the left. So we haven't seen more recent numbers. And also demographically, when you move to the under age 30 demographic, while only 11% of the total Jewish population in America identifies as Orthodox in 2021, under the age of 30, that number rises to 17%, which is much more significant. And I imagine it's continued to rise since then. So we might even argue that in the younger demographic, maybe a fifth of all American Jews identify as Orthodox. But the vast majority of American Jews are what we call progressive liberals, and they are increasingly uncomfortable with Israel. They're uncomfortable with Israel's shift to the right, with Israel's becoming a more religious, more politically conservative place. Israel has not had a left-wing government in decades, not since Ehud Barak was prime minister. We have not had a left-wing government, and there's none on the horizon. And I've noticed a number of articles, I don't want to get into the weeds on them, a number of articles in The Forward, which is really the premier Jewish establishment media outlet in America, and that have decried this whole problem of settler violence. And it made me think about the whole disconnect that is going on now between American Jews and Israeli Jews, and how this does not bode well for the future. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this whole phenomenon of this. Again, I feel this growing gap, this growing discomfort that so many American Jews have with the state of Israel.
I think I'll actually begin by making a slight correction to your description of American Jews. They're not hard to the left, they're heavy on the left. And what I mean by that is the vast majority of American Jews are not supporters of Bernie Sanders, are not supporters of AOC. They're not communists, they're not progressives. They are Bill Clinton type supporters. They like what we would call the old left, or kind of like slightly center but mainly left. But they're liberals, but they're not really progressives or communists. And they're going through two crises. Number one is, as we've previously discussed, that the Democratic Party is no longer a center-left party. It's a communist party or a socialist party. And so they feel abandoned by the party that they've called, the political party that they've called home for 70 years. On the other hand, they can no longer turn to the Republican Party because, people like Jeb Bush are also not really part of the Republican Party. So if they could have gone to the Republican Party, and some of them, did, when they didn't like a particular Democrat that was in power, the Republican was comfortable enough for them. But now they can no longer turn to the Republican Party. And at the same time, Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, Smotrich, these are people who are clearly nationalistic, which goes against their liberal ethos. And what I mean by that is nationalistic thinks primarily in terms of the group, your attachments to a larger whole, and liberals think primarily about your individual freedoms and rights. And so they're trying to figure this all out, and the ground is like moving from underneath them. And you see this both on the center left and on the center right. There are certain people who, we can call them neocons, who are still trying to, get back into power. They don't like Donald Trump. They don't like J.D. Vance. They could put up with Marco Rubio, but they'd really prefer someone like Nikki Haley. And they're kind of like pushing that agenda, but they're also talking about the settler violence issue. Bret Stephens recently condemned settler.
We'll stop it there. Now, the settler violence is Judea and Samaria. And again, a lot of this is being taken out of context. The media is not telling you who some of these people are that the, quote, settlers, like they've moved in there and taken over Judea and Samaria. They're not telling you the truth. Some of these people that they're going after, the citizens, are terrorists, and the police can't get there in time. So there is not that Israel's perfect or all Israelis are perfect, but a lot of these situations you're seeing on TV are completely out of context, and you're not getting the full story. But the issue is that many of the Jews in America are turning on Israel even. So we've got the Republicans turning on Israel. Obviously, the Democrats did that a long time. Jews are turning on Israel. I mean, and yet we're being told by people the Jews are conspiring to take over the world. The Jews can't even get together and agree on Israel, much less agree on taking over the world, which is not their goal. You maybe have some Jews that are globalist, but there's only 0.2% of Jews in the world. They can't even agree on Israel. You think they're going to be able to agree on taking over the world, Annie?
Mm-hmm. No, they would not be able to do that. And by population, they can't either. One thing I want to add to everything that interview was bringing on, let's not forget, there's also the victim mentality that plays a huge role. I personally do know American Jew, one person, who is turning against Bibi, not necessarily Israel, but Bibi, because they think if Bibi would listen to everything U.S. says, this would all end, and they could go home and, live happily ever after. Which, as you said, lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, not really facing the true enemy. There are Jews who are turning against Bibi, which is being translated as turning against Israel, because they think there is a solution, because they think if Bibi would have stopped picking on them and, retaliating or fighting, whatever the terminology might fly around the room, that's also one of the reasons they are turning against Bibi in Israel. As far as, again, it's, you don't even need to listen to the imams. You don't even need to listen to Mamdani and Linda Sarsours and CARE members. All you need to do is just, let's say, pick up not the whole constitution, just the very first page of Islamic Republic of Iran's constitution. Third paragraph, I believe, if you skip the whole Allah naming and stuff like that, the actual context part, third paragraph mentions that this constitution is put together to protect the revolution that was successful to open the path for a global Islamic revolution, also known as global caliphate. It's written in their constitution. Show me that in the Israeli constitution and I'll join your group. If you can't show it, you should join us, because they have written it into their constitution. The constitution of Iran, written by Khomeini in his entire mullahs, literally mentions that this constitution is being put together to protect the revolution that was just successful to open the path for global Islamic revolution. I rather go with what's on the paper right now.
Let's see what else we got before we close. Let's see here. Here in the Netherlands, police officers are now being forced to visit mosques and take classes on Islam and the Quran to learn how to handle Islamophobia. Here we go.
Even terug naar waar jij mij naar refereert, is je zegt, jouw daden bepalen, dat is deels waar. Want ik heb natuurlijk expliciet gezegd dat we verantwoording gaan afleggen aan God voor ons.
All right, we don't know what they're saying, but just notice, look at them sitting there with their shoes off, learning all about Islam and Islamophobia. I mean,
look at the bright side. They didn't make the female officers wear the hijab.
I know. I was kind of shocked that they're all sitting there together, male and female, right? But that's for now. Wait till they fully have control, then they'll do
that. Exactly.
And then we have the issue of Pakistanis coming into Europe, and many of those Pakistanis are Muslims. And here we have a little video by none other than, help me out with his name, Logan, the guy over there in the UK we've interviewed so many times.
Tommy Robbins.
Tommy Robbins, thank you. Here we go.
76% of Pakistanis.
Let's start that over. Here we go.
76% of Pakistanis in Bradford marry their first cousins.
I know.
Pakistanis make up 3%. Pakistani men make up 3% of the UK population, or Pakistanis do. They're responsible for 33% of child defects at birth.
I've seen.
They are being born retarded. It's costing us a fortune. It's costing the economy a fortune. It's billions and billions because Muhammad married his cousin. Well, I don't care what Muhammad done in the 7th century because he was a barbarian warlord. So enacting what he done, no, it's no longer right. It's never been right, and it has to stop in Great Britain.
Wow, 33% of the UK population, Pakistanis make up 33% of the UK population. They're responsible for 33% of birth defects. They're being born, I don't know if we can use the word retarded anymore. I don't even know if that's politically correct. It's also costing the economy billions and billions because Mohammed married his cousin. 76% of Pakistanis in Bradford marry their first cousins. I guess these guys will make great useful idiots for Islam to go out and blow themselves up, right? I mean, you just strap a vest on them and send them into a crowd, unfortunately.
Yes, that is part of it. And it is, and I want to be very specific. This is not Pakistan only. It's Islam. Again, it's not even Sharia. It's in the Quran that you're allowed. Well, it's a list of who you're not allowed to marry. And the remaining list includes your cousin. Hey, it includes your stepdaughter. So, but anyways, this is not just a Pakistan issue. I understand Tommy's talk about the Pakistanis, but this is any Islamic country has that law, and any Islamic family or society would apply that law. That being said, sadly, apparently having 250,000 of your girls and daughters raped in UK wasn't enough. We need more Pakistani grooming gangs to come in.
Mm-hmm.
It is, again, I mean, I'm sure at this point, most people with ability to tap into their God-given brain cells have come to realize you can't fix the stupid. Unfortunately, you just have to let them face it.
Yep. And here's a poor little gal in the UK. What does she want? Here. I'm sure she got labeled an Islamophobic for saying this, but here we go.
I'm here to protect the kids and how I have the streets safer for when I have kids. Because I'm scared. Because I'm scared if anything's going to happen to me. Because being a white girl is really scary at this time. Loads of people call me racist for going to these, but I just want to be able to feel safe in my own community, and I just want to be able to walk the streets like my dad and my mum used to without a worry.
Not going to school at the moment. What's happening there?
People are calling me racist at school for going to the marches, and they're calling me far right. But the thing is, I'm not far right. I respect everyone's cultures, their religion, where they come from, and their background. I just want to be able to feel safe.
You here to?
There you go. Poor little girl just wants to feel safe going to school.
You see, that's the thing. Everyone has forgotten what their job is. It is pretty tragic. But as you just shown, in Europe now, they get training for how to counter Islamophobia instead of how to counter these men who will gladly kidnap, beat, or rape and kill your girls.
So in closing, I asked Trevor Loudon tonight, 5-10 years out, based on the current trajectory, the red-green axis, the funding of the Democrat Socialists of America by not only China and Russia, but I think many of them are being funded by Islamic countries as well. Let them be the spokesperson. Let them be the face. They'll stand back behind the Marxist and fund them. I would venture to guess there's a lot of Islamic country money coming in to fund a lot of these Democrat Socialists of America. So 5-10 years out, and of course, we know that one of the leading Islamic terrorists, he openly stated that without a coalition of the Islamist and the Marxist, we can't defeat America. We have to have an Islamic and Marxist coalition if we want to be successful. That was one of the leading Islamic terrorists stating that, and I have it in one of my documentaries. So with that being said, if we stay on this trajectory, what do you believe will be the condition of America? That was Jackal, by the way. The terrorist, his name was known as the Jackal. What do you believe that said that? We have to have this Marxist Islamic coalition to bring down America. If we stay on this trajectory of all these Democrat Socialists of America running, all these open Islamists running, and you have the Trump administration and their DOJ investigating cities like Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, that don't want to build mosques. If this trend continues, what do you see for America 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line? Annie?
Does also the American behavior stay the same? No changes? Because that plays a role. If Americans stay right where they're at, but in 5 or 10, well, I would say in 5 years, considering that will include 2026 midterm and 2028 general election, there is a good 95% chance that finally Ilhan Omar's original international combat of Islamophobia bill will pass, and people like me and you, we either decide to resign and go do something else, or we will end up being arrested and possibly facing consequences for saying anything against Islam. That's we have 2 elections to cover that. Go ahead.
Say that last part, please.
We have 2 elections within the next 5 years, which, as I said, 2026 midterm and 2028 will be plenty. As I said, if the American people
don't wake up, behave
the way they are today, well, it's not about waking up. We're past point of waking up, Brannon. I really doubt that quote unquote silent majority are not awake. We're at a point of, are you going to stay silent majority and be useless, or are you going to become Americans, speak out, use your constitution to stop what's coming for you? That's where we're at. At least
so
that's where I'm
at.
at.
The midterm and the next presidential election will determine the fate of America.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So really, we're going to know what is the long-term final fate of America by this November, and then 2 years from this November. So we basically have about how many months we got till elections? August. We got August, September, October. So you basically, then you add 24 to that. So we got about 26. We got about 26 months and we'll know the final outcome of America.
Yep, we don't have to wait that long. It's not far enough at all. It's right here.
The only good news, the only good news is, while all these other guys out there, they don't know enough to do anything else other than talk right, left, Democrats bad, Republicans great. They don't know anything. The only thing that's at least positive for us, if they start putting in legislation to shut us down for saying anything truthful about Islam, at least we have the ability to become full-time Christian biblical worldview teachers, teach the Bible exclusively, because they'll come for that last. So that will buy us another couple more years, and then they'll come for that. But we'll still be here teaching the Bible. We'll just flip to nonstop teaching of the Bible, because they've been able to do that in Canada now for many years. For many years, they haven't, decades, a few decades now, they've been where they can't say too much at all. But at least the Bible teachers can keep going and teaching the Bible. At least we have the ability to say, all right, fine, we won't talk a lot about Islam anymore. We'll just teach the Bible. And at least we could do that and hang on for a while. Whereas others, they're not Christians. And those that think they are, most of them aren't. So they're not going to teach the Bible. I mean, you got the Jack Posobics of the world that apparently think that, he says, I'm not a capitalist, as we heard tonight. So I'm not too worried about us. We'll be here long after all those other guys have been shut down, because we at least can just teach the Bible. But then eventually they'll come after us too. Annie?
Yes, very true. Just don't forget to visit me when they take me, because as you know, I can't. I mean, I wish I could, but I can't do what you just said. Before taking off air from my show, I said I will do this because I'm running out of time to finish the books I need to finish. And a lot of people took that as I have some sort of terminal cancer and I'm dying. I said, no. The most dangerous cancer of all time is reaching my front door. Mm-hmm. I'm running out of time to publish these books, and no, you can freely purchase them, because Islam is knocking at the door and too many Americans are opening the door. That's why I am chasing after finishing these books, because I know soon I won't be able, by soon, within the next 3-4 years, I won't even be able to write and publish them. I can write them, but then I have to find, I don't know, I guess, older school ways to make copies and then, hand deliver them. And if people are willing to risk having the books. But yeah, that's where my head is at. I started preparing for that about 2 months ago. Mm. And again, not because I'm a prophet, because I'm monitoring the midterm. I'm watching people react with nothing except bunch of communists, bunch of socialists. Everybody's dropping the Islam part of these candidates, which tells me exactly what's coming.
Yeah. Well, Trevor Loudon has to check his calendar to see if he can be with us on election night. Can I go ahead and ask you, will you be with us on election night, or do you too need to check your calendar?
As you know, and I'm sure your audience knows, my calendar revolves around Boardview YouTube. So yes, sir, I'll be there.
Thank you. All right. I'm just messing with Trevor. Trevor's got to check his calendar. He doesn't know what he'll be doing election night, but hopefully he can come on and be with us. But we got Garland Favorito. We got Dr. Doug Frank. We got Annie Cyrus. We're already lining up our election coverage coming up this the first Tuesday? Is the first Tuesday this year? It's always the first Tuesday, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. And Annie Cyrus and I, we're just going to pray we make it to November, because we're doing something really stupid. We're going out in public for a big event with a lot of people. I don't know. The more I think about that event coming up, the more I'm thinking about, that's probably one of the stupidest things we've done in a while, is to get back out on the road. But hey, we're going to trust the Lord and go. But if we're still here on election night, we will gladly broadcast. But in the meantime, we're going to be with you guys in October, and I'm praying that it goes off without a hitch. And because it's always dangerous whenever we start telling people where we're going to be. And I'm not joking. Am I, Annie?
You are not, no. But as you said, yes, we just trust in the Lord and go where he sent us.
Yeah, because normally we don't announce where we're going to be, what we're doing. We don't keep the same schedule. I very rarely leave the studio and or the house. But then when you start announcing where you're going to be months in advance, it starts to make you a little nervous because there are groups out there would love to see us eliminated. But we're going to, yeah, it might have been a little safer in the Ozarks, right? Yeah, we were holding the conference there. But anywho, I'll tell you this: if that DSA gal wins as governor, I don't know that we'll be going back to Milwaukee for a conference anytime soon. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to say for sure because I love the people up there and they got our backs. But man, that's going to make it hard. At least when we had the conference in the Ozarks, the sheriff's department was on our side 110%. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But the reason I'm bringing all that up is if we make it past the October conference, we'll gladly be here for election night. But in the meantime, make sure you're getting your tickets. Now, don't you feel blessed to want to attend? I know now they're all scared to death to attend. I'm not worried about you guys. I'm worried about us going to and fro. That's the big threat. There you go. worldviewtube.com/events. Once we're there, I think we'll be fine. It's the to and fro that's the problem. Don't you think, Annie?
That's always my bigger concern. Yes, it's especially you normally have really good security for the event anyways, but
yes.
Getting to the location and then getting out of there is where my concern is.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, though. I think we'll be safe at the event, and we have plenty of security we've hired. worldviewtube.com/events, worldviewtube.com/events. Annie will be with us along with Patrick Wood, Sharam Hadian, Alex Newman, Andy Woods, what a lineup. Erwin Lutzer, it's filling fast. That's the actual venue right there. Worldviewtube.com/events, worldviewtube.com/events. As always, visit Annie, check out her book, Architecture of Jihad and all of it at worldviewtube.com at liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.com, and her Substack, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Thank you, Annie.
My pleasure. Stay safe, Brannon.
You too, my friend. Annie Cyrus checking in tonight. And folks, do you appreciate all we're doing? We need your support. Yeah. And we need your support for many things, including security. That's right. We don't only have to have funds to keep pushing out free programming. We have to have funds to pay for security. And isn't that a sad situation? But that's the situation we find ourselves in, folks. It's reality. It's the world we live in. And I'm sorry it is. But this is one reason why we got off the road and stopped doing events, because it got too expensive to have the security. So that's why we're down to doing one public event a year. And again, we'll be hiring security for the event. So if you appreciate all we're doing and you want us to keep pushing out programming and you want us to go and have these speakers and film them to make them available, again, we need your support. There's a couple ways you can do that. One is by going to worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. Don't forget about legacy giving, leaving the foundation in your estate planning. You'll find out all about that right there at worldviewfoundation.com. And of course, the other way you can support us is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, VAULT, worldviewtube.com/vault. And you can find out about all of the great programming we have available. 36 years of radio shows, TV shows, ebooks, audiobooks, and so much more is available. And we have the brand new AI, which should be tonight, tomorrow. I had a couple things I wanted fixed real quick. Tonight or tomorrow, launching that so that if you're a Vault member, you'll be able to use our Biblical Worldview Bible software. It's amazing, folks. Absolutely amazing. And we have coming, pull that down real quick, guys. We also have coming, I want to show it to you real quick. We also have coming we've already got some of these channels launched, but coming this September, right around September 1st, we're going to have a bunch of channels. The Israel channel, which would be all kinds of programming that we've already done. We brought the tours by Aaron we've paid him to do of Israel. The special education programs we've already filmed on Israel. We'll archive that there, play that new stuff that'll be played. The National Security Channel, things we've done over the years are still very relevant. We're going to have the Worldview Bible channel, that's Bible teaching. The Prophecy channel, that'll be Bible teaching. Jimmy DeYoung, myself, Andy Woods, Rob Lindstead, programming just Bible prophecy information. The World History Channel, that's our documentaries, our interviews on history. So that'll be that. We'll have the Worldview Report News channel. That's obviously our Worldview. What we do there is we air about 6 or 7 or 8 of the Worldview, latest Worldview Report broadcast back to back to back, kind of like CNN headline news used to do back in the day. Fast facts on false teachers. That'll be nothing but teaching on the Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Islam, the cults. Worldview commentary, Brannon Howse Worldview commentary. That'll be all just years of my commentaries that are still very relevant, strung together. If you just want to hear me pontificate, we have the Constitution and Law and Liberty channel coming. Psalms and Proverbs. I'll be reading the Psalms and Proverbs. That's what that'll be. The Technocracy TV channel, that'll be all about technocracy. Patrick Wood, Logan, myself, Joe Allen interviews, all these interviews we've done on that. Courtney Turner, all we've done there. The Testimony channel, that's going to be people like Anita Dittman, Russell O'Quinn, Michael Forshared, Steve Saint, all these interviews we've filmed over the years that are so powerful. The Bible Answer channel, that's nothing but edited question, answer of Andy Woods, John Whitcomb, others. You can sit and listen for hours. Bible question asked, Bible question answered. Creation and apologetics, that's Josh McDowell, that's Ken Ham, that's so many other things. Home and Health channel, that's already running, that's pretty self-explanatory. The Scripture channel, that's going to be a channel where we're just reading through the Bible, the entire Bible. You can sit and listen. We're going to add some nature scenes to it as well, have it on the screen. We have the Worldview Financial channel, that's pretty clear what that's going to be, just financial news. Worldview Hymn channel, that's already running. The Cults channel, that'll be about the various cults out there, exposing Islam. And then the Revelation channel, just biblical teaching on the book of Revelation. And then the Worldview Weekend conferences, taking all of these conferences we've done for 22 years this fall and rolling so many of those keynote presentations, trying to take 36 years of content and put it into a format you can digest easily by just your iPhone, your iPad, your television, whatever it might be. Again, some of these channels will stay open to the public. Only a few of them, though. The vast majority of these channels will only be for premium members of our vault. All right? So, again, that's coming this fall. All right, roll the music. Let's call it a night. Thanks again for watching. And don't forget about going and getting your free pack of Worldview 2 business cards to pass out for free, to tell people all about our 24/7 stream that's available to the public. You can get these 20 business cards, a stack of them, absolutely free at worldviewstore.com. You run out, order some more. Speaking of the store, make sure you have plenty of freeze-dried food. It's real food, just freeze-dried. It's very tasty. Make sure you have all your emergency supplies on hand, folks. You can do it there at worldviewstore.com. May God save America. Take care.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
And welcome. Glad you are with us. We're going to be joined by Aaron Lavarco. Lots of updates coming out of the Middle East. Here is one headline. Trump rejects Iran's duplicitous claims about peace talks after desperate leaked email shows his war chiefs in panic mode. Well, that's a headline. Let's see if there's any truth behind the headline. But we do know, if you go over to worldviewreport.com, Arab leaders are reportedly telling President Trump Netanyahu is an obstacle to regional peace. Now, this might explain why President Trump has been talking about Netanyahu in the past tense. He was a wartime prime minister. Wait a minute. Why are you saying was? Why are you talking about him in past tense? I don't know what's going on, but we'll get to that. Evidence says, Iran says evidence points to deliberate Ukraine attack on vessel. Seems like, again, more information that the two wars are merging. Iran and U.S. and Israel war with that of Ukraine and Russia. Iraq, NATO agrees to open mission office in Baghdad, expand security cooperation. Hello, Revelation 18. Because I think this is what this is, folks. Stage setting. Oh, yes, I'm a Babylon watcher. I am constantly going to news sites every day, pretty much, learning the latest that I can on Babylon. Because like watching those who are calling for the temple to be rebuilt, it helps me understand where we are at in the stage setting. And remember not too long ago when people were mocking us, oh, Babylon, that's New York. Babylon, it's New York, don't you know? And yet, why would they say that in part? Well, because I don't know why, they're ripping scripture out of context. The eagle in the Bible, yeah, well, that was also a symbol for Babylon. I deal with that in our study together through the book of Daniel, which is why you see the lion representing Babylon with wings of an eagle. But they also were probably saying it because there's nothing going on in Babylon in that area. Well, that was then, and this is now. And it is moving quickly. $60 billion deal that Iraq has signed with American corporations, Chevron and others. And now NATO is going to get involved. And I find that very strategic because NATO is made up of a lot of European nations. And what is Babylon in the Bible? It is the center for world government, a Eurocentric world government, a revived Roman Empire. And so isn't it interesting? You're going to have NATO, very much NATO nations involved there with the U.S., and we're pulling out our soldiers. There's so much going on in the region that's, for Bible prophecy watchers, very, very intriguing. Let's see, what else do we have? Houthis threaten full escalation after Saudi Arabia launches Red Sea coalition. We'll get into that a little bit. What else we got here? Threats to oil tankers in Middle East, worst since start of Iran war. That's what one analyst says. I want to get into this. I wonder if Aaron knows about this. One finger prick, 30 seconds, 0 lab results inside the world's fastest portable blood test. And wouldn't you know, when you go to that link, what do you find out? It is about Israel. Israel. Yeah. RevDx, a 2.5 kilogram hematology lab developed in, wait for it, Israel. You know, I really wish they would, on their packaging and on the device itself, put the Israeli flag. So all the Jew haters can be forewarned where it came from. So if you want to have your blood tested in under 30 seconds, just know it comes to you compliments of some very smart Jewish folks. They're again and again being a blessing to the world. All those boycott, divestment, sanction people, you need to know this is developed by Israelis. Again, they need to put the Israeli flag on the device. Everyone can know, because we don't want any BDS people to be conflicted or to take it unknowingly and use it. We would never want that to happen. Yeah. You know, speaking of blood, I had a vial of blood taken on Friday night.